Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmate. It's me, Stormie Grace, and welcome to your horoscope for July of 2024. That this month, first of all, let me just say out of the gate, this is a month. Do it. Be after it. Go after it. Move things forward. We've got the outer planets beginning their parade of retrograde, which means that new concepts and conceptions that have come into our lives through subconscious means, through societal means, all of those things are actually going to start to slow down and not really stand still, but they're not pushing forward so hard. Instead, all of these things that have come into our lives and into our world, especially since the beginning of the year, at this time, we've got the opportunity where the world's not pushing so hard to be with them, to learn what we need to do, what we need to develop, what we need to uncover, discover, discard in order to move forward next. So this is a really great month to do that. Not to mention, we don't have any of the personal planets in retrograde, but when we step into the vibration of August, we're going to have a few more bumps, right? We're going to take our next Mercury retrograde, which is always great. We don't hide under rocks about these things, but it is going to, put a bit more challenge across what we're working with. Now, we don't want to lose sight that in July, we are going to have a bump, and that is going to be when we see Mars and Uranus coming together, but we'll talk about that and how to navigate it. Now, the big theme that's hanging out here in July that I want us to keep our eyes on the prize of is that we're coming in and it's still Cancer season. Okay, so we're still really, really connected to our emotions, our roots, the things that give us emotional stability, the things that nourish us. Flat out, we're connected to our families and what's going on there. So at the beginning of the month, as we're coming in this Cancerian energy, where you live, and that includes your physical living space, that includes inside of your own body, your heart, your mind, your spirit. This is an opportunity. Cancer is a cardinal energy. Where are you willing and ready and able to start fresh in a place that has emotional stability or emotional content for you? And this can include having a fresh look at emotional patterning that was given to you, that you were brought up in, cultural emotional patterning that was given to you, and you're starting to outgrow that. You're like, well, now wait a minute. I don't feel that connected to that anymore. And or you're going back into things with the family, with the culture, with your ancestry, and you're like, I'm more connected to this. And it's bringing this beautiful security, this beautiful spiritual and emotional awakening. Now, that's going to be how we start the month, getting our own houses in order, right, in that Cancerian way. But then as we get to mid-month and we welcome in Leo season, this is where we move to this vibrant energy of expression. We get a bit more excitable. We want to talk about things. We want to take a risk. We're going to be a lot more willing to joyfully maintain the things that we have begun in Cancer season, because let's not forget the transition that has happened. Cancer is a cardinal energy. It has brought in a fresh start. But in order to maintain something, there has to be continuity. There has to be consistency. Now, Leo is fixed fire. We're going to say what we're thinking. We're going to talk about the things that need to be talked about. We're going to make the decisions and dive into whatever needs to be expressed here. And we're going to be willing to take a risk while we do that. But we're also going to love big. We're going to have big, grandiose gestures of expression and warmth, okay? So the thought here is that keep in mind that your themes for July in the general are that we're starting out by getting your own house in order so that when we get to the second half of the month, you can really, really enjoy it. You can really have an enjoyable, pleasureful, freeing, vibrant, exciting second half of July. Now, if we haven't met before, I am professional astrologer Stormie Grace. It's really nice to meet with you. I practice astrology through the lens of evolutionary and humanistic astrology. So if that's content that you are interested in, then I would love to have you here. More than anything, we'd love to have you in our community. And I want to say hello to all of our subscribers, whether you have been here from the beginning or you came in somewhere in the middle. Hello. It's beautiful to see you again. And let's also welcome, we have 283 brand new soul soulmates in the tribe coming here to wake up a bit, be more conscious, go within, learn to work with the energies. So let's all have a love, have a welcome to every single one of us, because this is a good community. This is a good place to be. Now, if you need more information about me, how I get down, how I roll, what else we've got going on here, you can come and visit me at stormiegrace.com. And I would love for you to do that anyways, because we have got such beautiful astrological learning content that is available for you at this time. And I would love to see you in one of the classes. More than anything, I'm going to tell you, I would love to see you take the Venus Reset program. If you are having struggles with bringing and having partnership in your life, if you are in a partnership and you're struggling to be with it or to understand how it lives and moves and works, if you do not have your finances together and you can't figure out why you can't get it to stick, if you are still going on in your head about this past person that got away, right? If you are stuck in a way where you're not receiving with ease, attracting things to you natural, if you're trying to achieve just because if you achieve something, then you're valuable, if your value structure's out of the way, the Venus Reset program was built for you. It is a connection with your own personal Venus in your chart. We talk astrology about it. We walk through how Venus can help and move and unblock those energies in the number one place that we keep them, which is that sacred pelvic bowl. We get that cleared out, build you a new relationship with yourself, your Venus, your astrology, and watch how things start to attract and achieve into your life. It's absolutely brilliant. Keep this in mind if you're thinking about it. That first of all, go over to the webpage, check it out, see what it's about. And remember that whether it is romance, whether it is finance, whether it is self-worth, these things do not flow easily into spaces that are blocked or are built with chaos. So what we do in this program is help to unblock that, create a beautiful, safe, healthy, vibrant structure for these things to flow to you. So if you are tired of not having that in your life, I would invite you to come and spend some time with us in that way. All right. Now, I also want to invite you to the description box down below, because all 12 signs are broken down for you in that description box down below. So make sure you click and you check it out. Okay. And of course, if you want one-on-one sessions, I would love to sit with you. Now, let's get back into talking about the rest of July and what it has to offer. First of all, as we're starting out the month here on the 2nd, we have quite a bit of movement happening as we come into the month. First of all, we see Neptune taking its retrograde in the vibration of Pisces. Now, Neptune is vibrating nice and strong over there at 29 degrees of Pisces. But this is, if you have not watched the conversation that I had with Nadia Shah about Neptune being at 29 degrees of Pisces and getting ready for its movement into Aries, I would really recommend that. And I'll put it at the end of this video, okay? But Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces, first of all, it is vibrating. It has been bringing us messages and situations of where, we've needed to shed, we've needed to let the ego dissolve a little bit, where we've needed to learn about receptivity, where we've needed to learn about really trusting our intuition. Our emotional and intuitive intelligence has also been a big theme of what we've been working with here. Now, other things is that in the sign of Pisces, where Neptune is absolutely comfortable because it's in its domicile placement, it's also been a space of illusions, dreams, things we're inspired to, of, and about. So we've been working with these energies for a while. Go back all the way to 2011, where you find yourself pondering the world differently, wanting to dream a different dream, connect differently, practice and give and be willing to give and receive forgiveness and unconditional love. These are the qualities of Neptune, okay? But right here, it is also a space where we have to realize that Neptune has brought delusions to us. And the further off track we have honestly been from the reality of what things are, the tougher the Neptune retrograde is going to be for each of us. So first thing you want to identify is in your own personal chart, where is the Neptune retrograde actually happening in your chart? Where is that 29 degrees of Pisces, okay? Because what it's ultimately happens when Neptune goes retrograde, because it's the space of creativity and it walks in between the worlds, it's ethereal, it's emotional, it's got all of this storytelling, it's got deception, but it's got creativity. When Neptune is direct, it's this place of the fantasy where we can move in and out. And we need that. We need it. We have to have it. We create things in an intangible space typically before they become tangible. So we need that space, right? But what happens when Neptune is direct is we have that space to do this, and we can move in and out. We can have some self-deception. We can have a little bit of delusion in these kinds of things. Now, when Neptune goes retrograde, it is like those things all become concrete. It's reality. No, this is real. This is the truth of it. And it begins to strip away any deception, delusions, illusions, inspirations that don't actually match up with reality. You know, things that have where your vision was blocked. You couldn't see clearly about something you wanted to be about because you couldn't mesh that place between the between worlds, the creative space or the delusional space, depending on what it is for you, and reality. So as Neptune is going retrograde, we get this break starting at that 29 degrees to come into the space where it is like, okay, hold on. What have I been afraid of? First of all, what kind of paranoia, delusion, what kind of internal fears have I had that now I'm sitting with them in reality? I cannot pretend. I can't dip out. I can't just go have a little daydream and pretend that they're not there. Now I have to do something about them. And usually what I have to do is amend it. I need to give you back something that I took from you that only I can give you back. Forgive. Ask for forgiveness, get the fantasy out of the way and start to operate in a real reality. I can't just want a strong financial life. What are my systems that are in place to make it happen? And do I forgive myself for maybe financial, relationship, health situations that maybe even I put myself in, right? Like Neptune retrograde has got a lot to offer. You know what? I'm going to do a separate Neptune retrograde video because I think that's really good content. And if I don't, we'll be here all day. So the Neptune retrograde for our purposes here on the 2nd is going to start off at that 29 degrees and it's going to back up all the way until December to 27 degrees. And that's not a lot of degrees because Neptune is an outer planet, right? So it moves really very slow. But here on the 2nd, it is bringing our attention to those energies of now let's slow down, let's get into some serious reality. And let's be working on this, okay? Next, we're going to see on the same day on the 2nd that Mercury moves into the vibration of Leo. So Mercury coming into this space, you know, it's been traveling through that Cancerian vibration and we're in touch with our emotional and our intuitive intelligence and it's been very good, right? But Mercury does not get to be so fast and so speedy there. It doesn't get to just zoom, give me the answers. Now, as Mercury moves into the vibration of Leo, what's happening is, first of all, our speech takes on a more fiery tone, right? We move into fire. We're a bit more exuberant. We want to talk. We want to share. We want to share our ideas. We want to express things that are coming up for us. And this is a wonderful energy because it also makes space to take a risk at hearing what someone else has to say to you, hearing someone else's perspective. And by doing this and listening and gather the information, it's kind of like, okay, that was big and dramatic, but I see where you're coming from. You know, we may even find ourselves liking a bit more drama to the conversation. I talk with my hands all the time. So whenever it's like Leo season, I feel like I'm like, you know, Mercury's in Leo, I'm like doing the most. So as we're thinking about things and we're engaging with others as well, with Mercury traveling through this Leo energy, it's getting bigger, but it is also fire. So it's also direct. We're quicker at making decisions. We're more decisive. We're clear. We're like, I'm doing this. I'm not doing this. I like that. That sounds fun. That is good for me. That brings peace. That brings joy, or it doesn't. So enjoy some of that fire energy as things get really very decisive with that particular movement. Okay. Just after that, on the 5th, we have got our new moon happening in Cancer. And if you have not seen my video on the tale of 3 moons, 2 Capricorn Capricorn full moons and a Cancer new moon mished in the middle. Make sure you check that out. I'll put it up here and I'll also put it at the end, but it tells the full story of what this new moon and those full moons are trying to bring to our attention. But on the 5th, we've got a new moon happening at 14 degrees of Cancer. Now, this is going to light up fresh starts in our emotional being, fresh starts in understanding emotional patterning, emotional conditioning, emotional energy, what brings us security, what nurtures us emotionally, and where we need to make some changes, where it's like, okay, I am willing to commit to concentrate on, to be focused about really having a healthy home life, which starts with my emotions as well. So we get a real source of commitment from this particular energy. Okay, when we get to the 11th, we see Venus moving into the energy of Leo. Now remember, Venus is our attracting energy, so we're pulling in. Venus is not hustling for anything. If your Venus is on the hustle, that's not working out. Venus attracts. It says, here's what I value, now bring it to me. Love that. Oh, I just got excited. Love that. Now, Venus in Leo, I want big. I want bigger, I want big. I want bigger, I want bigger, right? So we're attracting in things that are a bit more grandiose. We're attracting in things that have a chutzpah, have a fire behind them. The romantic space, whether you're committed or you're dating or you're whatever, the romantic space is a bit bigger and better. It's more extroverted. There's a lot more expression. But the other thing I like about Venus in Leo is that depending on where it's at in your chart, it's also calling in a bit of pleasure to you. It's like, I just want to do that because it's pleasurable. That is pleasurable. That is delicious. That feels good. I want to engage that. I want to bring that into my life. I want to play. Venus in Leo wants to play. So enjoy that energy. Where can you bring this into this theme of emotional security? When's the last time you played? When's the last time you just played? You got down on the ground, you rolled around like it was Twister, and I'm not talking about yoga because that's a very structured, even though it's supposed to be free flow kind of thing. When is the last time you played? When have you been to the batting cages? When did you play mahjong? You know, when have you played? Attract that, call that into your life at this particular time. Now, when we get to the 15th, we see Mars and Uranus coming together for a conversation. This is the thing. When Mars and Uranus come together here in the vibration of Taurus, it's really good because, one, it will create action and will create movement where you have been on the fence with some actions or some value-based decisions, maybe a purchase, maybe an investment, maybe something in a relationship. You'll get off the fence. You will get off the fence because these two won't have it. They won't have it. They're going to come together and be like, make a decision. Do something. They bring that combined energy together in the energy of Taurus. Now, it's also, because it's Taurus, it's something, my friend, that you have been sitting on, wondering about, worrying about, thinking about for a while, because Taurus is fixed earth. Now, it can also be something that is quite plainly in the material plane. It is a touchable, tangible relationship. You two will get apart from each other, or you will get together. You will figure out if this is a resource. Taurus cares about, is this a material, steady, valuable resource? And if you're finding out that the relationship, the financial patterns, the financial plans, these kinds of things are not, you'll make a decision around those resources. Now, will it be the most gentle, easy, I love how this is going? Maybe not, because both Mars and Uranus are, first of all, in a sign that they're not comfortable in it. They can't just do what they want. Taurus is like, slow down, friends. We're not doing it like that, right? So you can also get these energies where you've got not only two planets who are happy to war together, they are happy to go into each other, but now they're both also uncomfortable. So you've really got, typically I think when things come together in a conjunction, you kind of have a 50-50. I really think that you've got a 70-30 on this one in terms of these two creating the havoc that breaks down and gets you to change direction, gets you to take a different action, moves together or apart a resource for you. 70% of that, I think, is the opportunity for it to not feel as great or to be more shocking. And 30% as they come in, you're just set and ready. Your response to it is like, okay, I get it, no drama. But I really think that that's on the 30 side. Now, the other thing I want to say is, because that is not a fear-based statement, we don't play with fear and astrology here. This is about This is a gift. It's the gift of get off the fence. We cannot create a different resource by thinking about it. We cannot stop drinking by drinking. We cannot create different financial streams of revenue without learning to do that. We cannot have healthier, deeper, more committed relationships without learning to do that and making a decision and a commitment to do so. Right? We cannot skip out on the consequences of our past actions around relationships, finances, and these kinds of things. So I would like to look at this as a gift. Whatever comes, the surprise that moves in here is really to your benefit. Now, when we get to the 16th, we've got Mercury entering into its pre-retrograde shadow time, and it's going to go into pre-retrograde shadow time at 21 degrees of Leo, and it's going to take the entire retrograde, when we get done with it, before it comes direct, to 4 degrees of Virgo. So right here, right now, make a note, start paying attention to what you're going to be going back over as Mercury actually takes its retrograde in August. So you're looking at between 21 degrees of Leo in your chart and 4 degrees of Virgo. What houses are these spanning for you? What lessons are coming to your attention about what you need to speak up about romance that you're speaking about, pleasure, about joy, about something that you want to express, a decisive decision that you're committing to? What's coming up for you at this time? Because we're just going to do a review about it when we get into August, okay? On the 20th, we've got Mars moving into the vibration of Gemini. So Mars is more comfortable in Gemini than it is in Taurus for sure. And so as Mars moves into Gemini here on the 20th, first of all, we're not so weighted down, right? We're not thinking so like, okay, let me do this and I need to make decisions. It's very earthy. It's like, whoa, I want to think about things. I want to do multiple things at the same time. I have the courage. I have the willingness. I have the energy to ask questions, to be going kind of in multiple directions, to have conversations that need to be had, to further have the capacity to make direct decisions that need to be made. I think this is a wonderful trine with that Leo energy. So you have this opportunity as Mars is traveling here in this Gemini energy to actually get a lot done, do a lot of communication, sign those contracts, make those deals, give that presentation, finish writing that book for goodness sake, launch that website, make those YouTube videos, the podcast, yes, please, right? Maybe you're starting a course and you're going into the heat of learning something, because if we don't have these other systems in place, we have to learn to put them in place, right? Now, the one thing I will say with Mars and Gemini is to please be careful and to please be mindful with yourself that you are making sure you're not going in too many different directions, and that whatever you do at the end of the day or at your rest time, please make sure you're giving your neurological system an opportunity to rest and relax from all the delicious doing that you're going to be doing, because it's Martian energy. Now, on the 21st, we have got a full moon happening at 29 degrees of Capricorn. Again, check out my Tale of Three Moons lunation video talking about those 2 full moons and the new moon happening in Cancer. But this particular full moon is, first of all, a beautiful stop of getting a lot more clarity. We started something, or we were trying to make a pivot in some way at the full moon that happened at 1 degree of Capricorn, June 21st, and it's like the clarity wasn't there. It's here, but I don't quite see all of the pieces, or some information's missing, or I see now where I have been delusional about my plan. And sometimes the delusion is simply that I can do this and figure this out myself. I don't need a team. I don't have to resource. I can just figure it out myself, right? So this can sometimes be as simple as the delusion is, but that's also very complicated, right? So whatever the delusion is that's kind of been peeling for you, now at this particular full moon, 30 days later, you have more clarity. You're willing to pivot. You're willing to end, acknowledge, and adjust whatever is not going to help you make a long-term commitment, create a long-term resource, leave your legacy, add to your not only personal or professional maturity and advancement, but also, really, truly your material advancement and security. So these things you got more clarity about them, you've got more clarity about what to do, and at this full moon, you'll make your pivot. On the 22nd, happy birthday to Leos. The sun moves into Leo. It's officially Leo season, so we'll be seeing the posts and the memes, and I can't wait. But Leos are going to usher us into fixed fire season. What we have started, we got our homes and our hearts in order, moving throughout the Cancerian season, and now we move into Leo season, and we are going to do it up. But what are we doing? We are living out loud. We are more extroverted. We're saying what we need to say. We are being willing to shine. We're being willing to live in our own fire, our own fixed fire. Where do you burn bright? Where do you burn and you smile, and when you talk about it, when you're in and you're moving and having your being, you are that beautiful firelight, having courage to be seen, to be heard, to be, one of the things I've really learned about fire living here in Spain is that this is a culture where fire and flamenco are included, and the ability to have this beautiful fiery gaze and use your self-expression to look at something or someone who is beautiful in a space of play and pleasure and admiration is very real. So when's the last time you did that? When did you stand in your own mirror, you looked into your own eyes, and you're like, you are a foxy moxie, right? When have you had the courage to be the center of affection, gain affection, give affection, play with it as we're here in Leo season? And again, it's still a fire season, so we're making decisions over here. All right, when we get to the 25th, now we see Mercury move into the vibration of Virgo. So we're going to start to pay attention to, first of all, how much more comfortable information is, because Virgo is one of the planets, is one of the signs that Mercury rules as that planet. So we have Mercury again in a domicile space. But when Mercury gets into Virgo, what we're going to start to be now is not just have all of these options, not just want to speak big and make decisions, but now we're going to be a lot more discerning. This is discerning. Yep, we made these decisions. We brought these things into our life. Okay, now what are the priorities that need to be handled? Mercury in Virgo is going to bring your mind to a precision, discerning place. I'm so excited for all of us, because you start to cut away the fat of what doesn't actually need your attention. Now, of course, with Mercury and Virgo, we're also making decisions that we understand that if I make this decision, if I commit to this, I am taking it on. There's going to be some level of I am shackled to this a bit, but we get to decide here, what is the thing that I am willing to take daily action on, commit to consistency, and it may be hard, it may require discipline, it may require me to get out of my comfort zone, but I'm willing to take it on, and it feels like service to my life, service to another person, service to my routine, instead of servitude. Because when we're dealing with Virgo places, we can very easily take on things that just make us feel like this is slavery, this is servitude, as opposed to something that is serving and making a situation bigger, more beautiful, and better. The shadow side of Mercury and Virgo is that it can be very, very critical. Very, very critical, self-critical, critical of other people. Now, one of the things we can also pay attention here too is if you're becoming during this season really, really critical, right? Mercury's only going to get to 4 degrees before we get to the retrograde. So we'll actually do a little bit of this later. But if you're finding yourself being really critical of yourself, others, or something, be discerning. What is it that you're afraid of? That level of opinion and judgment is not discernment, and it's coming from something you're afraid of. What are you afraid you're going to lose? What are you afraid you're not going to get? What are you afraid is going to be taken away from you? These are great things to look at during this particular season. Now, as we're going to close out this month, we are actually going to see that Chiron's going to go retrograde in the vibration of Aries. Now, Chiron we have been talking about, including in everything around here lately, because it's such a big change to the wound of the identity that you've been carrying around. It is healed. You're not just working from the wound anymore. You've been making a set of new decisions, right? And now as Chiron goes retrograde here, and it's going to go retrograde at 23 degrees of Aries. So where is that in your chart? As it goes retrograde here, you're going back over where you're like, yeah, first of all, let me celebrate where my old wounded identity has not fully been in action anymore. Where have I healed? Take a celebration. You're making decisions from a different lens. Maybe your spiritual, physical, emotional, mental health is different and you can feel it and you're making changes, right? Even if it's a small change, let's celebrate the victory because that is how we heal. That's how we heal. The other thing is looking at who this Chiron retrograde season can allow to come into your life because they have suffered and healed the same way that you have. Now, I think one of the primary places to look at this is, where do you have the courage in your own identity now to say, I need to go to a recovery group, a recovery center. I need to get a sponsor. I need to get a financial advisor. I need to join a team. I'm more healed now, and I'm willing to be around people who have had the pains of suffering about who they are they valuable, all of these kinds of things about the identity, their being, their bodies in some way, and now they're healed into the other side. So we'll see the Chiron retrograde rocking and rolling until December 29th. So it's going to take us right to the end of the year that we get to review these things, make this area really, really lush. And also remember with Chiron, the more you share about who you are, where you've been, and where you are now is where you can literally avert pain and death for other people while also creating this really beautiful connection of when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and vice versa. All right, my beautiful friends, make sure you click in the description box down below and see how this month is rocking and rolling and your themes and houses for each particular sign. I would love to see you in one-on-one sessions if I can be of any help to you. So click in the description box down below. I love you, and I will see you in August. Bye. Hello, my beautiful Aries friends, and welcome to your horoscope for July of 2024. We're Aries this month. We've got a lot of focus going on these beautiful changes you are making in your home, family, real estate, property, your domestic zone. There's also a really nice bump and I think a fair amount of clarity that shows up in your professional zone as well. And then we are going to bump all of this energy of your ruling planet, Mars, into Gemini, where you're starting to take more actions that have to do with being social, have to do with travel and these kinds of energy. And we also cannot forget that we are moving swiftly into Leo territory. So the summer is bringing you a fair amount of fun. All right, Aries, let's take a look at your themes and houses and get a breakdown of what's happening for you as we travel throughout July. Now, first and foremost, Aries, like I said, there's this energy going on where you've really got a lot of domestic energy surrounding you as we come into the month because we're coming in Cancer season, which is lighting up your 4th house space. But we've also got a fair amount of energy that has been lighting up your 10th house, the professional zone. We had a full moon that was happening there last month, and we've got another one happening here in July. So really, truly, you've got your eyes on the prize around financial things. But of the two areas, Aries, I think that your domestic world really has the most of your attention. With the energies in the sun traveling through the Cancerian domain, in the 4th house, you're really looking at your home and your relationships with your family, anything having to do with going back to your past, creating an existing, cohesive, secure, and nurturing energy in your own home. And for some of you, it will simply be that you're like, it's time to freshen up the house. We need to get this together. I want it to feel a little bit more summer cleaned and cozy and things like that. And that's really going to be a lot of what has your attention. Now, something else that takes my mind as we're looking at this particular horoscope is how much in your family zone you're actually going back to because you are recreating something or you're here in the position of healing it. And I'm really excited, Aries, to hear what this is. Share that with me in the comment section down below. What are you cleaning up with your family, or what are you going back to that it's like, okay, it's time to not sweep this under the rug anymore, but it's time to handle this and participate in the healing of this particular area. Now, we're going to have a new moon that happens on the 5th at 14 degrees of Cancer, which is going to aid your efforts in starting fresh in an emotional way, in emotional patterning that's been in your life, and all things having to do with your family and your family members. So really enjoy what you're finding out here. It may be a little bit tense sometimes when we're dealing with family or things from the past, since it's so highlighted for you at this particular time, there can be the tension, but whatever is coming through that is really going to be built to be really very helpful. Now, something else I want to point out to you, Aries, is that you have a helper this month all the way until July 11th, and that is Venus, because Venus is going to bring in some of the harmony, some of the ease, make family and home, real estate matters even a little bit pleasurable. So use this as an opportunity to, yes, Venus, redecorate, move things around, get a different taste and space and spice in your house, but also where you're gathering with family or you're needing to talk about family things. I think that this really brings a softness, it brings a beauty, it attracts a love and an ease into what it is that you've got going on. Now, we never want to miss talking about what your ruling planet is going to be doing. As we're coming into the month as well, Mars is actually in your second house, okay? So Mars traveling in your second house, your mind at the beginning of the month is on your money, right? Your mind and your actions are on your money. You're like, what am I doing with my money? One of the first things that I can tell you is that I do think that Mars bringing all of this energy into your financial space until about mid-month is about spending. You're spending something, whether you are, you're spending money to make money and you're getting a profit and an income from that, or you're investing in some way. It could also be expenses. You're going back, you're seeing your family, you're eating out a little bit more, or you're traveling somewhere and you're spending a little bit more, whatever it is. I will tell you that Mars having all of this action in the second house, it's great to get your money moving. The last thing you want is sleepy couch potato money. So use this to your benefit, but also keep an eye on your spending, because Mars can make us energized enough to be like, yeah, I'm ready, fork it out. Here you go. You know what I mean? So we just want to be mindful of that, okay? On the second of the month, right as we are at the beginning, we're going to see that we have got Neptune stepping into its retrograde in Pisces. Now, this is going to light up the retrograde in your 12th house space, okay? This Neptunian energy has been bringing your attention to areas that need to be healed. I think this is really fantastic tie-in with all the domestic and professional things going on. So it's really been bringing your attention to what needs to be healed, what has been a delusion, what has been an illusion, and it's not going to work anymore. That old story needs to be broken down, okay? So in your 12th house, this is going to be things that happen from the past or things that happen behind the scenes. Now, this is a very subtle energy, okay? Neptune is typically not blaring unless you have high Neptunian connection. But I want you to remember that it can be really clear what is unfolding around you. One, because it may be whatever the blockage is or whatever you're having to see a new reality, because when Neptune goes retrograde, you are not dancing in the fantasy anymore. It gets real, and it gets real really fast, okay? You may be rethinking, how is this affecting me spiritually? How is this affecting me energetically? That could be the way that it comes to you, or you feel like as you come into more logical discernment, practical reality with some things, the ideas and the realizations that you're having about the gap between an ideal that you had and what is reality, like it closes, right? And you're going, oh, I just need to approach this in a different way. Now, we'll be working with this Neptunian energy, or this retrograde energy, we'll be working with this retrograde energy until the end of the year. So you have plenty of time to work on this. December 7th, we'll see Neptune come direct at that 27 degrees of Pisces. On the same day, we see Mercury moving into the vibration of Leo. So now we're ready to talk. We're ready to speak. Here you are in this high domestic time, doing things with family, maybe going back to your past, and you're ready to speak. You've got big words, big heart. It's a very fifth house kind of thing, which also makes me think for you, Aries. In the fifth house, not only do we look at our joy, our pleasure, our play, things about our children being, childlike, but it's also an energy I like to look at as you as someone's child, right? In the fourth house, we see your parents, but in the fifth house, we see you as someone's child. So what is it that you're having more confidence to talk about in that family life of yours? Where are you looking to love big? You're being a little bit more grandiose in the way you're expressing yourself. Where are you feeling like you're more confident in making decisive, quick decisions? You're leading, you are taking the charge, right? Where do you feel like this is happening, even in the context of being in your familial zone? Now, of course, your children could also be demonstrating some of the exact same values and behaviors as well. Now, on the 11th, we're going to see that Venus moves into the vibration of Leo. So we've got this shift of energy for being so much about the home and bringing that level of harmony and attraction into that space. And we're going to move this into the 5th house space as well. So Venus, again, is calling in, it's attracting. So you're just attracting in the things that you're passionate about, the things that your self-expression and this willingness to be courageous, you're putting it out there. You know, what is your hobby? What do you enjoy? What is something creative? Where are you feeling like you want to bring in some romance? Fertility, or the beginning of something here, is also very much so in your favor. And we will roll with that energy all the way until August 4th. So enjoy that. Enjoy. Be clear what you're calling to you as well, Aries, because what you want is the right kind of love, is the right kind of risk to take on, is the right kind of, the right kind of money to come your way. So just be clear with what you're calling in. Now, when we get to the 15th, we are going to see that Mars and Uranus come together in a conversation. So first of all, what this brings my attention to in this 2nd house for you, Aries, is there is an unpredicted expense or an unpredicted financial something that has got your attention and you need to handle it. Okay, Mars and Uranus, they're getting you off the fence. You have to do something about a financial situation that steps into your space. And so what I can tell you is, be Taurean, be practical. What needs to happen first? Next step, next step, next step. Use a method and you've got it. You'll be able to handle it, I think, just fine, okay? Then when we get to the 16th, we have got Mercury moving into its pre-retrograde shadow time. So Aries, I want you to start watching your life and start watching your chart at 21 degrees of Leo in your chart. What's starting to happen? Because information is going to be coming in at this particular time that you will review as we get into August, and Mercury is going to actually take that retrograde. So start paying attention to what's going on around that 21 degrees of that Leo position. When we get to the 20th, Mars, your ruling planet, is now going to move out of that 2nd house zone and move into Gemini. So now this is about how you communicate, how you give and disseminate messages. There's a little bit of travel that may be going on here, but certainly Mars in Gemini is willing to speak up. So you may find yourself really, you're not just speaking, but you're signing that contract. You're initiating a negotiation that you want to happen. You're initiating a course that you want to take. I absolutely love this energy for you because it also helps you get things done. What course have you signed up for and you need to finish it or make some progress in it? Do you need to update anything in your social spaces, your website, your podcast? Do you need to continue working on your thesis? What do you need to do that requires this communication Gemini characteristics that this can help you get done? The other way I see this being particularly helpful is that you are in action, Aries, with relatives, siblings. Maybe you're doing a little cookout with the neighbors or something like that, but you are Mars, you are in action, but like a Gemini, so you're curious and you're definitely talking about what's going on. On the 21st, we've got a full moon happening in Capricorn. Now, if you have not, Aries, checked out my video on the tale of 3 moons, please go back and check that out so you can get the full picture of the way these last moons have worked together for your benefit, okay? Now, first of all, the full moon is asking you to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. We need to pivot. And you tried to pivot here in June, but it just didn't quite work. It was like you couldn't quite get your head around it, or, I think the biggest thing, Aries, too, was you had to get honest with yourself about a story you've been telling yourself, about why you haven't done what you've done, or you had to get honest about an emotional blockage or some emotional conditioning that was in the way. And now, though, at this particular full moon, you are seeing it. You are shifting yourself. You are shifting not only your name on this planet, your reputation, who you are, the way that things have had authority in your life, the stories that have authored your life, and you're rewriting it at this particular time. Okay, so you're able to move towards whatever you're trying to build in your career, your reputation, your soul level calling, the title of your name, in a much clearer way. Now, here's another thing I want you to just kind of think about as well. At this particular full moon, because I think at 29 degrees of Capricorn, it creates a really big shift. This is a big, wise, powerful shift coming to your professional or public life. If something leaves your life, let's say the job is going, or the marriage is going, or whatever could potentially be ending, acknowledging, or adjusting, I want you to keep in mind that this is all about you leaving the best, strongest, most accurate legacy of yourself going forward. So what is ending is your new beginning. Okay, it is your new beginning. There is something you called into your life almost 2 years ago. And Aries, at this particular time, you're getting clarity on what has to shift in order for you to author that new story of your own moving forward. Absolutely brilliant. On the 22nd, we see the sun move into Leo. So now we are going to be lighting up this fifth house space. So from the 22nd of July on, I want you to enjoy. Have pleasure, have play, look at the things that do bring you joy. Try to be a bit childlike during the Leo season. Don't be childish, okay? Don't be petty, but be childlike. And Aries, remember, when is the last time you played? When is the last time you played with your kids? When's the last time you just were with your kids, or you were just with your parents and you let it be easy and vibrant? There's a lot of pleasure that's available in this season. And for the next 4 weeks, this area of your chart is motivated to play, to have pleasure, to begin something. What are you beginning, Aries? You're right at the beginning of something. Is it conception of a person? Is it conception of a business? Is it a willingness to go out for that sports team, take a gamble? Begin and let it be vibrant here on the 22nd. When we get to the 25th, we see Mercury shifting into the vibration of Virgo, where it is in home court territory and very comfortable. So Aries, for you, this lights up your sixth house space. So the first thing that happens is around your health, your daily routine, including your mental health and wellness and your mental daily health and wellness of your daily routine, the way you have to be of service. Maybe you are a caretaker of someone. And for my freelancing, Aries, this is about you doing work contracts, okay? Mercury in Virgo is going to get discerning, really discerning, and it's going to start telling you, Aries, no, that's not going to work. That's not important. We don't need to focus on that right now, okay? It's going to help you see, Aries, what are the priorities that need my attention at this particular time. And I would encourage you, go with it. The Virgo energy, while it can be nitpicky, it's actually trying to show you how to have the best routine and how to pick out what are actually the priorities, as quickly and as efficiently as you can. Now, do keep in mind that on a daily basis, Aries, you are a fire energy. If you've got someone else in your space, or you've got coworkers or a team, Mercury in Virgo can make you very, very critical. So if you find yourself nitpicking at people, really take a look at that, because that is not going to go well for any kind of development, okay? All right, my beautiful Aries friends, I absolutely love you. I hope you have a gorgeous month. Please let me know in the comment section down below how the month is shaping up for you. Remember, this month we've got a lot of good energy to work with. We'll have a few more bumps in the road as we get to August, nothing we can't handle, but use this month really well. Take it one day at a time and definitely stay connected. Bye, Aries. Hello, my absolutely beautiful Taurus friends, and welcome to your horoscope for July of 2024. We're Taurus this month. I love it. I love it. I get to talk to you this month about domestic things that are going on, but also money, multiple streams of income, and other things that have to do with this Gemini energy of your chart. I absolutely love it. So there's a lot of intellectual information and a lot of intellectual buzz that is also on your table. Now, the one thing I'm going to tell you before I jump into this forecast is we have got an arrangement this month, Taurus, of Mars and Uranus together. And I'm going to tell you, you got to keep your cool. Keep your cool, okay? Because whatever comes up is going to probably surprise you, could even shock you. It could even be something that pisses you off, but if you stay cool after it pisses you off, then it'll set you free. All right, Taurus, let's get in here and look at the themes and houses of what's going on for you this month. All right, Taurus, so as we're kicking in the month, the first thing we want to consider is that we're coming in with the sun in the vibration of Cancer. So we're still working on things that are very third house. These are things that have that intellectual feel to them. They're things that have to do with travel, things having to do with neighbors, lots of communication things going on. So there's a lot going on in that zone, okay? Now, the other thing that we want to keep in mind, though, is what's your ruling planet doing? Well, Venus is also over in the energy of Cancer right now. So Venus is actually attracting this area to you. It's making conversation a little bit easier. It's helping attract to you or call to you or speak value out into the world and then magnetize what you want absolutely towards you. So it's a brilliant energy. But we've also got that lover planet of Venus, Mars, the planet of doing, of passion, of fire, of energy, of courage, okay? Mars is traveling in your sign along with Uranus. But Mars here in your sign is giving you energy, Taurus. It is energizing you. It's like, yep, start that thing, do that thing, take that on, initiate that project. Let's lead over here, right? So really, whether it be something that you're working on professionally, Taurus, whether it's personally, whether it's spiritually, your being is in a prime initiation energy. So I would encourage you to, first of all, let that beautiful Martian fire energy flow through you. You are a natural Venus vessel, and when Venus and Mars come together, that is magnetic. Magnetize to you what you want, and then have the courage to let yourself be seen as the strong, beautiful bull that you are, as a magnificent resource in every area of your life. So harness that power and go get it now. Now, we're going to see that later in the month, Mars is going to move on into that energy of Gemini, but that's not going to be until the second half of the month. So Taurus, really take the vibe and go with it, okay? Now, also looking at things that have to do with putting yourself out there or having changes to your financial zone, okay? Man, we have got, first of all, Mercury traveling through Gemini. So your conversation is hot. Your ability to negotiate a deal, to be signing these contracts, putting them out, teaching a course, something like that, it is just on fire right now. And then we have got Jupiter traveling through this particular area of your chart as well. And it is expanding and magnetizing this area of your chart. So the first thing I think of is, in very Gemini fashion, we are not creating income streams. Not interested in it, Taurus. We are creating income rivers to come into your life, and all forms of communication that set up deals, negotiate things, do the small details of signing up for that affiliate program, learning to build that funnel, learning to have this conversation with someone in your life, and they end up being a resource and that is some kind of financial benefit, writing that book, whatever it is. You are absolutely able to use this energy this month to make these decisions. I also think too, though, because it is Jupiter, I will say this, anything that you wanted to put out in a bigger way, think publishing, marketing, broadcasting. This is a wonderful energy to be able to make those decisions, to start your first online campaign, to show your art, to show your photography. Any of those kinds of things are going to very much so be in your favor, okay? All right, now we were going to see, Taurus, that at the beginning of the month, let's walk this through by dates. On the 2nd, we've got Neptune stepping into its retrograde here in the vibration of Pisces. Now, Neptune is going to start this retrograde here, obviously at 29 degrees of Pisces, and this is going to be lighting up your 11th house space. So really, Taurus, around your groupings, your causes, your ambitions, your social circles, the social circles, dreams, and ambitions that you have, Taurus, that will help you get where you want to get, okay? Because in the 11th house, it is your friends, it is these social things, but you're also connected to them because you have a desire to be known in some way. So for you, in this 11th house space, this Neptunian energy has been working to strip away anything that has not been real, anything that is a delusion or clouding your thought process, your heart, or your vision. And it's like, this is a bridge I've built that's not actually taking me anywhere, right? It feels good. It's nice. Maybe even it's charitable. But this is not the bridge that's going to get me to the success that I would like to experience. It's also, I think, been showing you, if you've had fear of groups or grouping, or you've been, suspicious or paranoid or people, this has really been bringing that to your attention. Anything that's had to do with self-pity, nobody likes me, I better go eat worms, these kinds of things. You've been able to dance in between the worlds and kind of feel it and then not feel it. But now, as Neptune goes retrograde, Taurus, everything becomes real. There's no space to dance in between the worlds, just what is real. Reality becomes concrete. So we're forced in this time to get new ideals, or realize, Taurus, the gap between what the ideal you had for yourself in this area of your friendship, your social zone, your social media marketing plans. What's the distance between the ideal that you have and what's reality? And the nice place here is that you have an opportunity to bridge that gap. You get some training, you forgive yourself, you forgive people, you give them forgiveness that you've been denying. You get a second opinion on something so that you realize you're making the best decision in this area of your life as is possible. Now, on that same day, we're going to see that Mercury is going to get into the energy of Leo, and it'll be here all the way until the 25th, okay? Now, Mercury in Leo, we're thinking big, but for you, Taurus, the focus really comes into the vibration of home, family, real estate, property. You're making decisions. This is a very family and domestic oriented energy that's really got your attention. So plan to be having a lot of conversations, be making decisions. Maybe you become the contact person for something, whatever it is. Now, other things having to do with the domestic zone. I say when Mercury is here, you want to look at the areas of your home where communication needs to be able to flow freely. Remember, you're a Venusian energy. Create flows in your home. Let things flow to you. Don't hustle for them, Taurus, okay? Let them flow to you. So if you have anything in your home that is actually like blocking the flow of communication, even if it's a plant that is, in between you and someone else when you're talking, look at if you can just shift that out of the way. That'll really help you along, okay? When we get to the 5th, now we've got this new moon that's happening at 14 degrees of Cancer. This is, again, lighting up that 3rd house communication space for you. So anything having to do with how you communicate, decisions that you need to be able to make, you've got a lot of energy here, again, to engage, to communicate, to study. If you needed to do a speaking event, or you're teaching, or you've got a lot of social energy that is clearly being reviewed, that could be something like that. Now, something else to consider here, Taurus, is if you needed to make travel plans, make them. Make them. Oh my goodness, make your travel plans right now, because you might even find yourself getting a couple little deals or something like that that could absolutely be in your benefit, because remember, Venus is still traveling over here for just a little bit, and she's always looking for a deal. All right, but when we get to the 11th, we are going to see Venus move out of that Cancerian energy, given all that help, and move now into this domestic zone, into Leo. So all the way until August 4th, Venus is going to be smoothing out things with home. It's going to be making things more harmonized, bringing more pleasure. You could even find that you are making money from home, or you're drawing that income into your home, right? Venus is pulling, and drawing in your direction. So make great use of that ruling planet energy as a helper and an intuitive friend, I think, as well, about what needs to be easier, what needs to be beautified or have more pleasure around it. When we get to the 15th, this is it. This is the Mars and Uranus conversation that is happening in your chart. And I have to tell you, Taurus, I really mean it. Watch your cool. Something could be going on, and it's a surprise. It's kind of a surprise, right? It's like, well, where did that come from? That came out of nowhere. This conjunction, both Mars and Uranus are equally happy to war things out or to take action to get something done because they're like, we're going to do it. I'm ready to be about it. But in your sign, both of these planets are actually quite uncomfortable. So the likelihood of you losing your cool, I think, is a little bit higher at this particular conjunction than it is that this is just going to be nice and you're pleasant and you're like, oh, thank you for this different, this innovative look at my life or this innovative look at me. It may not be that. So if something comes up, it surprises you, it catches you off guard, really before you speak or you say something that cannot be unsaid, or before you make a decision, push a button, make a purchase that cannot be undone, I'm going to suggest that you breathe. You take just a minute to reconsider instead, what is this actually keying your attention to, right? This is something about Mars, some action that you've been taking. Uranus, as they come together, something about what you've been doing in your own practice, maybe even with your own body, Taurus, right? It's got to get different. This needs to be innovated in some way because it's simply not working the way that you've been doing it anymore. Now, the other thing I think that this is on the 30% of the 70-30 split that I think can really be exciting and empowering to you is that you are willing to take a risk, which means you're like, I feel like I have been limiting myself. I have been in my own way and I am willing to get out of my own way. I'm willing to take a risk to get out of my own way, learn something new, try something different, right? So in that way, I think being able to fully express this kind of lightning bolt energy that comes to you and gets you to just even see your next set of behaviors as an experiment to something new that could lead to a different opportunity, that can be great. You just want to be mindful that you don't let this erratic energy take you down a road that later will really damage this beautiful divine thing that you have been building, okay? All right, when we get to the 16th, we see Mercury moving into its pre-retrograde shadow zone at 21 degrees of Leo. So I just want you to start to notice, Taurus, what's happening around home, family, real estate, property, because we're going to review these things as we get into August. But for now, I just want you to take a little bit of notice. When we get to the 20th, we've got Mars moving into Gemini. Now, this is more good news to that financial sector. It's bringing energy here, right? So it's really good for how you earn money, how you go out and attract money and let it flow to you. And actually, this is really about, with Mars being here, it's not just how you attract money to you, but it is how you go out and get money. But I think at this particular time, with Mars coming into Gemini, and you're going to have this energy all the way until September, because we're going to be doing a lot of work with this particular energy. It's really more about taking action on what you're doing with your money, right? Like, do you have a budget? First of all, start there. Do you have a budget? Second of all, do you have a wealth investing plan? What does this look like for you in your life? Have you ever even heard of it? It's about what are you doing with your money? It's not just I make it, I spend it, right? But where are you putting it into an asset? You're spending money on something that is not about your lifestyle, Taurus, but it's more about an asset that can be an investment that brings more money to you. With Mars here, you are energized in a position to create deep wealth. I absolutely love this. Now, it's also just Mars. It's just Mars, right? So you might be like, I need more than one. I need more than one, income stream. I need these income rivers to be flowing, Stormie, and this Mars energy, I think, will help you see how to do it, but it may also be inflammatory. You're like, I have to spend a little bit of money to make a little bit of money. So pay attention just to what you're doing with your money at this particular time. In terms of romance, I will say, you could find yourself falling in love or being really attracted to a person who they've got these beautiful words. They're saying it. They're very specific. They seem decisive, and you are really attracted there. So if you're open and you're single and you're ready to mingle and that's your world, absolutely enjoy it, okay? When we get to the 21st, we've got the full moon happening at 29 degrees of Capricorn. This is a fellow earth energy. And if you have not, Taurus, checked out my video on the tale of three moons, where we really go in depth about what these moons are bringing to your attention, please make sure you check that out. I'll make sure it's at the end of the video. But this particular moon is in your 9th house space: publishing, marketing, broadcasting, higher education, international travel, your level of faith that you have, Taurus. And when we were experiencing this full moon at 1 degree of Capricorn in June, you just couldn't do it. Like, you were trying to bring something into material reality, and like you just couldn't quite get it there. But really what your attention has been brought to all the way to this new moon, into this full moon, excuse me, is where have you had emotional patterning? Where have you had some self-deception about a plan that you were making, something that you wanted to have, and you've had to really get those things out of the way to get serious. If you want to have multiple rivers of income, if you want to have this successful relationship, what have you gotten clear on, even in the last 30 days, that you have to get out of the way, or you have to unlearn, so that you really can pivot here at this particular full moon and create a really delicious legacy-like resource for yourself, because that's really what this full moon is about, okay? On the 22nd, we've got the sun moving into Leo, so now your full attention is in that domestic zone, and you are motivated to do things with the family, with the home, the real estate deals, redecorating home. You know, maybe you want to have people over. Leo is a very extroverted kind of energy. So I could see that you're like, yeah, all right, let's go. Let's have the barbecue at my house, because then we get people, we get family, we get social, and we get the eats. And Taurus, I'm a Taurus. I know we like the eats, okay? On the 25th, Mercury now shifts into the vibration of Virgo, bringing your attention to decisions around the 5th house: pleasure, play, children, where you're taking a risk with something. So now your attention's going to start to go in that particular direction. Now, what I love about Mercury coming into Virgo is it's in rulership, first of all. Second of all, it's going to help you make some decisions, because it's going to help you, Taurus, get really discerning. Okay, what actually needs my attention? Okay, what do I actually need to be working on at this time? Where do I actually need to make a decision to put those finances? Where do you need to get into the nitty-gritty of things? Yes, I'm willing to make a decision to start this new project, to help my child start their new project, but where do we start? What are the details of how we're going to get it done? That's how the way that Mercury, I think, is really going to serve you here in this 5th house space. All right, my beautiful Tauran friends, I hope you have a gorgeous month. There's a lot going on. I gave you a lot of detail this month, so make sure you let me know in the comment section down below. What are you doing with your money? What are you doing with your family? And definitely, how does July go for you? All right, Taurus, have a great month, my absolutely beautiful Gemini friends, and welcome to your horoscope for July of 2024, where this month I really like the way your financial life looks this month, Gemini. There's so much going on as the energies are traveling here in this Cancerian vibration, and then even after we move out of the zone of the finances, then we move into your intellectual ideas, things that have to do with decisions you want to make, how you want to study, maybe something you're trying to communicate about. There is even a beautiful energy in the second half of the month that has so much to do with, like, where do you even want to travel? I love this month for you, so let's get in here and talk about what is going down. Now, first and foremost, Gemini, as we are coming in, yes, we're coming in. It's Cancer season, okay? So we've got the sun continuing to beam really brightly in this second house for you. So the income zone, how you make money, how you go out, what do you value, how you value your skills in a way that you're able to demand a living from this particular energy. Now, we've got a new moon that's also going to happen in this particular area as well. And I think, really, truly, Gemini, if there has been holdups and blockages around you making money, charging more for your services, asking for a raise, having clients come to you, this particular new moon is going to be your opportunity to say, okay, I got it. I see the emotional handicaps or the emotional conditioning that has put me in this position, and I'm no longer willing to live with that or to live like that. So you get a lot of help, I think, from this particular vibration. Not to mention that as we are coming into the month as well, we are also coming in with both Mercury and Venus traveling through Cancerian energy as well. So these are helpers, literally drawing life into your second house area. Okay. So keep this in mind at the beginning of the month as you're coming in. You have a fair amount of energy to make decisions financially that can set you up to have security. Be emotionally secure, have resources in your life that you feel like, okay, this can nurture me for some time. Even if, something happened to me, I would be able to feel comfortable with this energy. Whatever decisions you're making here, remember you're making them so that you have what is your own solid foundation underneath you, especially emotionally, to make you feel secure and safe, especially around your finances. Okay. All right. Right at the beginning of the month, Gemini, as we are getting in, we've got Neptune taking a retrograde starting at 29 degrees of Pisces. So this is right up here at the top of your chart. So Gemini, for you, the place where there has been this idea and this ideal that you have around your career, your reputation, okay? It's this ideal that you've been holding here. So that ideal and what is real reality, as Neptune goes retrograde, you're going to get into the reality and see where you have this gap. Has there been something about you where you're like, okay, wait a minute. This has just been an illusion. This has been an illusion for me, what I've thought was going on over here. And it turns out that you're having this realization that you're like, wow, trying to do that has been more about feeding my ego and making me feel good and going maybe even with the crowd or doing even maybe what you thought you had to do to be known in your space, whether that be in your business, in your office, even in your family. You have to be this kind of grandparent or this kind of mother or this kind of partner, right? So as Neptune goes retrograde all the way until December 7th, you're getting an opportunity to just let reality be reality and come in alignment with what is really true for your spirit, what is true on your spiritual path. And you get discernment because you can't back away from it. With Neptune retrograde, there's no daydreamy space to go to. Neptune is like, I'm asleep, the door's closed, you're going to have to work that out, right? But it's also this energy where I think while we're standing there with sometimes the harsh realities, the more distance you have had, Gemini, between your ideal or your illusion and the reality that you're living in will really depend on how challenging I think this retrograde period is for you. But what is also wrapped in here in this retrograde is unconditional love and forgiveness for others, for yourself. It is this divine space of realizing that no matter what has happened, you are seated in the hand of the universe, safe, protected, and loved at all time. It is just about learning, and this one has a lot to do with loving yourself through some spiritual lessons, right? That's it. So I want you to keep that in mind, that that's something that you're working on, even while you're getting a little reality check as we are traveling over this next handful of months. Now, on the 2nd, we are also going to see that Mercury moves into this vibration of Leo. So as Mercury is traveling here in this very Leotian, that's not really a word, in the Leo space, you've got the opportunity to be feeling confident making decisions. Okay, you're like, okay, I am direct, I am quick, I am discerning. It's a Leo, it's a fire energy. I know what I'm doing, I know where I'm going, and it's about what you're communicating about. What are you studying? What is the book that you're writing? Do you need to be getting this website up and going? Do you have digital courses and now you need to actually use them? Is there conversation that you need to be having at this particular time? Okay, Mercury is going to start to help you in this particular place. Now we are going to see Mercury get ready for pre-retrograde shadow time, but that'll be in the second half of the month. Okay, now when we get to the 5th, we've got that new moon happening in Cancer. Again, this is that second house space. So plant your seeds of intention to say, no more. No more. I'm seeing what's holding me back, and I'm either going to learn what I need to do to bring resource into my life and be honest around my money and my values and my partnerships, or I'm going to be willing to be taught about it, okay? When we get to the 11th, Venus now moves into this vibration of Leo, and it again has got your attention. It's attracting information to you because Venus, as it comes and magnetizes this particular area, one of the things that you could be just pulling towards you are people coming into your life or into your network who are bringing you the gift of information. They're showing you how to make money. They're showing you how to communicate. They're showing you how to have a really very different experience with communication, with your thought process, with information you've had in your life and in your world. Now, Venus is also Venus. So as Venus comes in, you may be more attracted to communications or intellectual things that are a bit more exuberant, right? They're a bit more grandiose. They're like, oh man, I want to go to this networking group. I want to go to this mastermind group. I want to go to this book club thing. I want to go to this thing, and it's bigger. And it's an ideal time for you to go and to let Venus attract to you, maybe even some big personalities, maybe even some romance, Gemini, that could definitely be coming your way. Now, on the 15th, Gemini, we've got kind of a big day, and we've got Mars and Uranus coming together in a conjunction. And this is going to light up your 12th house space because it's happening in the vibration of Taurus. And I think it is important to be paying attention to this particular energy because Mars and Uranus are as equally willing to war it out. They come together and they create something surprising. They create a break in some way. It's like, I'm going to break out of a situation. I'm going to break my routine. I'm willing to take a risk in some way. And it can be a really like, yes, this is helping me get out of a situation that I've been stuck in because it's Taurus. This is Tauran energy. You've been in it for a while. It's been fixed in your life. This has had your attention. This has had value. This has had finances in your life. It's been something pretty heavy, right? Now you've got this energy coming and it wants to break you out of it. And what I will say is, before you make any permanent decisions, it's going to be really wise of you here, Gemini, to not lose your cool. It's going to be really wise to let the information that comes to you on this day and at this time settle before you just jump to something else. But if it comes along in this way where it's like, I'm just willing to not have a limiting belief in this area. I'm not willing to be hidden. I'm going to tell people I'm an astrologer. I'm going to, I'm ready to honestly, in a prepared way, leave my job. Today's the day that I got to make the break. Then this energy, I think, can be a flash of innovation that is really useful for you. So be mindful around the 15th, 16th, that there are some energies floating around that you don't want to write any checks that your hiney can't cash, okay? On the 16th, we're going to get ready for Mercury to be into its pre-retrograde shadow time at 21 degrees of Leo. So you're going to start paying attention, Gemini. Okay, what is going on in my communication zone? What decisions am I going to end up, going back over? So if things start to feel a little like, there's a disturbance in the force a little bit, just pay attention to it. We'll actually handle it with a lot more attention when we get into August. On the 20th, we've got Mars moving into the vibration of Gemini, so coming to activate your energy. And this is where you're like, yes, I can do anything I want. It's such a beautiful, energized position, and there's so much courage, there's so much bravery. It's just such a vital energy, so enjoy it. Go out, be courage, be excited about things that you're taking on. Ask that person if they want to work with you, if they want to go have coffee with you. There's courage, there's strength, there's beauty in this particular area of your chart, but it's also the time for you, Gemini. This is the primo time to start leading with something, start a new project, put initiative towards something, whether it is a personal thing, whether it's a professional thing. What do you want to start? Take that courage and that strength and move it forward. You're a whole vibe at this particular time, Gemini. Now, do remember, Mars is Mars. You can go out and you can be as inflammatory as you'd like and start fights, right? Go create chaos if you'd like to, but oftentimes you will not be the one that wins it. Now, if a fight comes your way and you step into it, okay, the favor is usually going to be in yours. Now, on the 21st, we've got this full moon happening at 29 degrees of Capricorn. This is like the redo that I was talking about in the June video, where on the 21st, we had a full moon in Capricorn, and you're trying to bring something into a material reality, right? Something in a joint resource, something in intimacy, something in assets, maybe a trauma or something needs to be detoxed from your life and you just couldn't quite get it to stick. And what you were realizing is, I've got some self-deception here. Or something's been deceiving me, some piece of information's been deceiving me, and this is why I can't make it steady. Now, those things in the last 30 days, there's been revelation to it. So at this particular full moon, what you need to end, acknowledge, or adjust, and you need to pivot, there's a lot more clarity. So, if there is something that needs to be settled around debt, if there are karmic debt of situations, if you've been seeing someone who's been an authority in your life or an authority in their craft and you disagree, you're like, I want a second opinion. I'm not seeing you anymore. These are things that we can see taking their pivot. It's also the 8th house. So anything having to do with debt, taxes, inheritance, insurance, getting sums of money, all of these things could start to come to your attention. And those of you that have partners, there could be things shifting in your partner's money as well. So I think that, if you needed to do something in a joint way or you need to make your pivots here at this time, this particular full moon has a lot more clarity and you're on good footing to do it. On the 22nd, the sun moves into Leo and we start to officially light up and you're really motivated towards that 3rd house, communication, networking, decision-making, teachings, and learning. And you'll take that on for the next 4 weeks. And on the 25th, we see Mercury shift into the vibration of Virgo, where it is very much so comfortable as it is in domicile, which means it's in home court advantage. So here, Gemini, what's happening is Mercury is bringing your attention to its ability to help you have discernment around things in your home, family, real estate, property, things in your relationship with your parents, going home, something about going home. And you have discernment at this time. You're like, okay, yep, I've gathered all of the information. Maybe you've even gathered all of your files that you needed for some kind of medical situation, right? Virgo is very much so the nurse energy. And you are becoming precise and discerning with how you are going to handle it. You are analyzing the details of said information. And the thing I love about it is because this is your mind working in such discernment and precision, you're not fazed by it, Gemini. You're not like, this sucks, I don't want to do it. You're like, no, I'm getting to the bottom of some things over here, okay? Now, keep in mind the shadow side of Mercury in Virgo, especially as a fellow mercurial ruled sign. It can get really nitpicky and really critical, and this can make us mean and bitter and really dirty with our words. So keep that in mind. Try and keep it cool if you can. Analyze, trim the fat, get a different perspective on the things you're looking at, Gemini, and I think that will be to your greatest benefit. All right, beautiful Geminis, have a gorgeous month. Let me know how you're doing in the comment section down below, and I look forward to seeing you in August. Hello, my absolutely beautiful Cancer friends, and welcome to your horoscope for July. It's still birthday time, so happy birthday, Cancer. And something to keep in mind, Cancer, is that, first of all, you are in this peak of Cancerian personal energy that you're going to have all year long. So I'm telling you, Cancer, if you wanted to start something new, Start a new exercise routine, get a new style, change your aesthetic up, gain weight, lose weight, change your body in some kind of way, make a really drastic change to your external environment or the way that you show up in the world. This is the time to do it, and you have got all the cosmic zhuzh in your back pocket to help you be able to do so. And that's going to be a primary focus of so much of the energy that is happening out for you this month. So I'm going to tell you, Cancer, really truly take advantage of this particular energy. Now, not only that, we have also got Venus traveling in your sign, so further pulling in this really beautiful calling to you, make it more beautiful kind of aesthetic to you. So let's say you're launching out a product or something like that. This is going to be great because when you put it out there, it's like you're calling it in. You have the right vibe and you're calling it right to you. If you wanted to date, maybe make changes in a romantic relationship, you're just calling it right to you. Now, we're also going to have a new moon that's happening in your sign. And Cancers, if you have not checked out my video on a tale of the 3 moons, the 2 Capricorn full moons, and the Cancer new moon mished right in there in the middle, make sure you check that video out, okay? It's just here in the playlist. But because we've got this new moon that's already happening in your sign as well, it's really a nice omen for getting things emotionally out of the way that have stopped you from having your own new beginning, have really stopped you from taking on that, taking on that physical style or that image or that aesthetic, and if it's really what's in alignment with who you are today, it's a current reality of your being today, then I think that this month you have a lot of permission to go ahead, take it on. The universe is absolutely waiting for you, okay? Now, we've also got at the beginning of this month, we've got on the 2nd that Neptune is going to step into its retrograde in the energy of Pisces. Saturn is also dancing over here as well. So as we experience this Neptune retrograde happening in your chart, first of all, it's in a fellow water energy. So something really, truly nicely connected in this emotional realm. It's going to be great for having your attention. You've been working through maybe some delusions, or you've had an idea or an ideal that you've been attempting to live up to in some way. And now as Neptune goes retrograde, you're going to have an opportunity to say, okay, am I really in alignment, with that particular ideal? And if you find out that you're not, that it's like, I believe that I am, or I believed that this partner or this marriage or this opportunity was this thing, and then Neptune goes retrograde, and you're like, whoa, I am really seeing that this is not what I thought it was. You have the opportunity to either make an adjustment with that particular thing, or just decide truly in your heart, you're like, yeah, this is just not the thing for me. I'm pretty ready to, let this particular thing go. So whatever that is for you, just know that you're really working in a place that it's about, is this spiritually in alignment with the ideals that you would like to live out, okay? So the other thing to think about here is that because this is also going to be happening in the 9th house where Saturn is also traveling for you, this could be a time, Cancer, where you're being called back or called to review some kind of faith or philosophical ideas that are coming into your territory. Really, truly, Cancer, is this a question of faith? I don't necessarily want to use the word religion, although religion could be something that is coming up and you're kind of in a review of that at this particular time. But I definitely want to say a question of something of faith, because with both Neptune and Saturn traveling through this 9th house area for you, things having to do with publishing, marketing, broadcasting, but also faith is really, really strong for you now. And if it does so happen that, what you're reviewing is connected to some kind of relationship or opportunity that is really important for you, I do think, again, we'll see it surrounded by faith, worship, maybe things having to do with higher education or foreign travels, okay? Now, we're also going to see on the 2nd that Mercury is going to move into the vibration of Leo. Now, Mercury, our planet of the mind, of how we think, how we're getting things done, how we communicate information. Mercury is going to be moving into Leo here on the 2nd, lighting up your 2nd house space. So not only are you at this peak of energy, Cancer, where you can really get things done, push yourself forward, launch yourself out there in some way, but now Mercury is helping you be discerning, be very clear on decisions that you're making, whether they're personal decisions, but certainly financial decisions where you're like, no, I am very clear on how I need this to go. I'm very clear on, where I need to cut this budget, or I'm very clear on what I charge for my services. This could be a great description of this energy as well. So Mercury will be working there. And it's nice because at this point in the month, we've got Mercury not in its pre-retrograde shadow time yet. So really, you are able to be fiery and decisive as we get to that information or to that transit, okay? On the 5th, we've got that new moon happening at 14 degrees of Cancer. I love it. The new moon's in your sign. So really, truly, again, planting those seeds of intention to kind of open a new door for how you would like to walk through into your next year and present yourself, from a new haircut to a body change to living the life of my dreams, whatever that looks like for you. This new moon is an opportunity for you to create really the aesthetic. It's really for you to create a reputation that you want to precede you, whether that be personally or professionally, okay? Now, as we're going to continue on the month, we're going to get here to the 11th, and Venus is going to move out of your sign and move into the vibration of Leo. Now, as Venus is going to start traveling in this Leo vibration, it's again pulling into your second house space. It's attracting money to you. It's attracting favor. It's attracting opportunity to you. Venus is not your hustler planet. So remember, Venus is attracting in to you. And this may be a time too where you're considering if you need to raise your prices, because remember, Mercury is here as well. And it could also be that somebody presents you with a raise of prices and you get to decide, do you value that enough? Does that help you achieve what you want long enough? Is it authentic what you're spending that money on? And then you're going to make some different decisions in that realm. Now, when we get to the 15th, we've got Mars and Uranus coming into a conjunction. And I do think that this is something to pay a lot of attention to, because as Mars and Uranus, first of all, come into this conjunction, the thing to know is that they are both willing to do whatever it takes to get energy moving. Now, this is going to be happening in your 11th house, so your friendship zone. This is going to be friends, social groups, social media, social things or causes that you are connected to. And with this energy, what can happen is it can be great. You're having this breakthrough. You're like, man, in my social circle, I'm really able to help get things done, help make something move forward in this organization I'm a part of. I'm really able to move something forward. But the other real challenge that comes with Mars and Uranus coming together is we can get really impulsive. We can just get really, really impulsive. And it's like you're just making a decision or you're just doing something, because Mars is our planet of doing. Uranus is our planet of innovating. And here in your social zone, you might be like, I'm just going to take this action. I'm going to just do this thing. I'm going to take this leap to make my dreams come true. And it's not necessarily the right leap per se. Okay. And it can also be an energy, Cancer, that I want you to be aware of, that with this potentially impulsive move that you make, it can pull down everything that you've been working on. So in your social zone, before it all gets kicked up and heated up and the drama's going and you tell a friend where to go put it and all of these other things, or you're putting out something on social media that, doesn't need to be said. These are the things I just want you to consider around that time, okay? When we get to the 16th, Mercury is going to move into pre-retrograde shadow time at 21 degrees of Leo. So we're going to start to just pay attention to what's coming up for you around finances, around spending, these kinds of things, because we'll be doing a review of this particular area when we do travel back into August. Okay, on the 20th, we've got Mars moving into Gemini. Now, this is going to light up your 12th house space. These are the things that are happening behind the scenes. It can also be patterns, beliefs, and pathways to behaviors to our own undoing. So as Mars comes into the 12th house, first of all, the shift of energy is about doing, because Mars is our doing planet. So what are you doing behind the scenes to really fulfill yourself, to really take care of yourself? How is your meditation looking? Are you working on something behind the scenes? Is there a project that's in development? This can also go the other way. Are things happening that are more secretive? They're more, they're really behind the scenes and nobody needs to be knowing about it, right? Now, in the 12th house, unlike the 7th house, we also see the space of closed or unknown enemies. So this is a thing that you would want to be paying attention to. Now, this can be sometimes the unknown or the hidden enemy. We don't know exactly who it is or what it is, or we can't put our hands around it or put a name on it. And it can be a person who is like actually working against you, right? It can be a karmic situation where you're like, why do I keep getting stuck here? And Mars is helping you work through releasing it, surrendering it, letting it go, getting psychologically and spiritually getting it off of you. Now, the other thing is that it can be an illness. It absolutely can be an illness. And with Mars in the 12th house space, it could literally create some kind of inflammation of what's going on. And it inflames enough that finally you know what it is and hopefully you're able to put a name to it. Now, my recommendation with Mars in the 12th house is if you need it, get a therapist, be seeing a therapist, be doing some kind of guided treatment to help yourself be connected to the real world and to reality. And as always, finish your projects that you're working on behind the scenes so that you can launch us out something delicious and beautiful when this is all over. On the 21st, we've got that full moon happening at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So now we're moving over to the relationship zone. Now, again, if you haven't seen that video, A Tale of Three Moons, you want to definitely check that out because we go really in depth into the way these moons are working together. But this particular full moon in your relationship house is now bringing your attention to, this is something needs to happen here in a relationship. It needs to be ended, acknowledged, or adjusted. And maybe you thought about it or were working on it or kind of it was in the works back in June and you just couldn't get the clarity to it. But now you've had this Cancer new moon to help you see emotionally where your emotional patterns or conditionings have been in the way, where you've been in your own way, Cancer. And now you're like, okay, I've got to make a decision and I've got to either end this, acknowledge it, or make an adjustment. And what that I think can really look like is, yes, if it's time for a relationship to end and be broken up, yeah, you might have to have that conversation. But also, one of the things that can happen here, because Capricorn wants legacy, it wants something long-term, and at 29 degrees, you're using a lot of wisdom. So it may be that, are you married and you've got some behaviors or some beliefs that are keeping you from forming a really intimate connection with your partner? You have to grow in your marriage. Are you a business partner who's used to making decisions in a really emotional kind of way, or being really bossy and really controlling? And you're seeing that even there, you've got an opportunity to make a more intimate, long-lasting connection, which will require you to grow in that relationship. So it's like, that's what has to end, that old behavior, that old being, and you get to grow into something else. So it'll be really interesting what that is for you. On the 22nd, now we have the sun moved into the vibration of Leo, bringing light, heat, life, and vitality to this absolutely brilliant second house in your chart. So now the money zone is lit up. I am telling you, how do you go out and create wealth for yourself? How do you make money? And also, how do you let money flow to you? What are the many different ways available that you allow money to flow to you that do not necessarily require you to go out and work? On the 25th, we see Mercury moving into the vibration of Virgo. And as Mercury moves into Virgo, this lights up your third house space. So now the space of conversation, being social, all this communication, maybe you're making some different decisions and you've got to be really discerning about what it is. You had this wonderful, pleasureful energy when Mercury was traveling through Leo, and it was like, maybe I can do this, maybe I can buy that, maybe I can use my skills and talents over here. And as Mercury gets into Virgo, it's more discerning, so it starts cutting the fat. It's like, nope, that's not going to work. That's not the best thing for us. This is what's going to help us be our very best. The other thing I do like for you, Cancer, with Mercury moving into this Virgo vibration is that I think it helps your health and vitality energy just by the nature of it being Virgo. But you're making a decision to participate in it, right? It's almost like if you need consultation or you're needing mentorship in the realm of communication, therapy, mental health and wellness. This is an energy where you have a strong place to make a really good start. And I'll just say this too, because you've got Mars in that 12th house space, just thinking about all this health energy, if you did have some pre-existing conditions of some variety, I think that they're easier to actually see and diagnose as they begin to present themselves at this particular time, okay? Just make sure you've got some good mentorship around that, and that'll really help you go a long way. All right, my absolutely beautiful Cancers, I think it's going to be a gorgeous month. Try to really enjoy this last little bit of your birthday season. Make sure you're clear on who and what you want to be for your next year, where you want to develop those lessons. Make sure you reflect on where you were last year versus where you are this year, and set a good course and plan for yourself. Revise where you need to, and absolutely love July. All right, Cancer, I'll see you next time. Absolutely beautiful Leo friends. I just have to start laughing at the beginning of this because I'm telling you, Gemini season rolls around and the Leos are like, it's almost Leo season. I'm like, oh my God, you have 8 weeks. Like, calm down. But I love that about you. And so I'm so happy to finally say happy birthday, Leos. Happy birthday 2024. Now, Leo, as we are jumping into the month, the first thing to note is that we are still coming in Cancer season. So your 12th house is still highly activated. So while I laugh and I giggle and I jest with you, I do want you to pay a little bit of attention as we're coming into the month, because it still is kind of quiet. Your chart is still a little bit in rest, right? You're going over the things that you need to do. You're creating and enjoying your rest, your revitalization, your recuperative energy. And you're also making sure that spiritually you are on track and on top of where you need to be so that you can be really solid in your year to come. So as we are coming in July, we're coming in with your 12th house wonderfully activated. So hopefully you're taking advantage of some of that rest and reflection, mostly reflecting as well on what it is that you do want to create in the second half of the month when we start your actual birthday year, okay? So as we're coming into the month on the 2nd, we've got Neptune going retrograde, and this is going to be in the vibration of Pisces over there where Saturn is at as well. So as Neptune is going retrograde in this 8th house, truly Leo, in your partnership zone and sector, okay, any place where there has been some kind of delusion, right? You've had this idea or this ideal of what you've wanted for your life, or what you want this area of your life to look like, especially in terms of partnership, shared intimacy, and things like that. Any place where you've been working on an ideal. As Neptune goes retrograde, if you are a far distance from actually achieving that ideal, that's when the Neptune retrograde can feel like a little bit of a downer, because it's showing you the actions you need to take as a human being to actually be in alignment with that particular ideal. So we don't have to use it as like an end of the world kind of energy at all, but it is something will definitely get your attention, and you'll get to work on bridging the gap of that distance all the way until December, okay? Now we're going to also see on the 2nd that Mercury gets into Leo. So welcome. You are ready to speak. You are ready to communicate. You are just ready to go. And with our decision-making planet of Mercury ready to share information, you have got this opportunity for clarity all the way until the 25th. You are clear, you are persuasive, you've really presenting yourself very well. So whether this is a personal or a business or a professional circumstance, you really have a lot of commanding the room at this particular time. Now, we're going to see too that just as we get to the 11th, Venus is going to move into your sign. So this is going to amplify that, but I'll get there in just a second. First, on the 5th, we've got a new moon happening at 14 degrees of Cancer. And as this particular full moon is unfolding for you, first of all, if you have not checked out my video on the tale of 3 moons, which highlights the 2 Cancer full moons, the 2 Capricorn full moons, my goodness, and the Cancer new moon that's happening in the middle, you want to check that out because we really go in depth with that, okay? But this new moon here in Cancer is really highlighting this 12th house of spirituality. It's such a powerful time for you where spiritually, anything that's been blocking you, karmic lessons that have been blocking you, any kind of supernatural experiences that coincidence, you start seeing patterns, you're getting little flutters out the side of your eyes, butterflies are showing up. You're having this opportunity to plant your seeds of intention to really embrace that inner voice, really trust the signs that are being shown around you, to have a spiritual or a meditative practice in your life that brings you back to center, because you will need those things as we move forward, okay? Now, when we get to the 11th, we do see that Venus energy moving into your sign. So first of all, it brings harmony. It brings a magnetism to you. Oh my goodness. It absolutely brings this energy of harmonizing. Lots of creativity comes with Venus moving into your sign. And I absolutely love that Venus here in your sign is an opportunity. If you wanted to get that new hairstyle, you wanted to start an exercise program to change your body around in some way, you wanted to change your aesthetic as a whole, this is really the chance to be able to do that and draw the opportunities right to you. Because remember, how we present ourselves also is an opportunity. It's how we will also attract opportunities to us that we would like to experience, okay? On the 15th, we've got Mars and Uranus coming into a conjunction. And this is the one place that I think could really be bumpy. Because as Mars and Uranus come together, it can be great. It's like, yes, you're taking action, you're getting out of the box, you're not letting anybody hold you down, right? You're just going to really do your thing. And this is in your career zone. So whether it be that it's your actual career work that you're doing, or maybe your reputation or your title in public in some way, this can be useful to really break that glass ceiling or do something that you've never done. But oftentimes when Mars and Uranus come into a collision with one another, they're both just really willing to go to war and like tear some things down. So I really want to suggest to you around, 15th, 16th, 17th, right in that time, Leo, to be paying attention, because things could be going on in that public and professional life. And what can happen is impulsive decisions are made, impulsive things are said. And you just want to make sure that you're not the one writing any checks that your hiney can't cash. Now, in a completely other vein, like I said, sometimes they just come and give a good shakeup. So, maybe you get an amazing promotion, but you're just kind of thrust in there. You're pushed in there so fast that you're like, whoa, I don't even know if I actually want this job. And I would really suggest to you, if something comes to you just so suddenly and so fast, that you pause for a couple days, let that energy settle, and then look around and say, okay, do I really want to do this? Because from making an impulsive statement to taking an impulsive position or something like that, getting married impulsively, these can be things, or divorced impulsively, these can be things that create challenge. On the 16th, we've got Mercury moving into pre-retrograde shadow time at 21 degrees of your sign. So start to pay attention. What's going on for you? What's starting to show up for you in your world, and decisions that you need to be made? What kind of conversation is happening around you? Because as Mercury slows down for that pre-retrograde shadow phase, it is showing you that this may not be the last time you're having that conversation, but you'll definitely review it as we get to August and actually take that retrograde. On the 20th, we've got Mars moving into Gemini. Okay, so now Mars is moving into this vibration over here with Mars in Gemini. The vibe I have for you around that is going to be that it's like, okay, what is actually going on with friends? What's happening in the friendship zone or some kind of social zone? Typically the 11th house is pretty friendly. We love the social energy that's up there, but Mars can be inflammatory, Leo. So it's like, there's more going on. There's more information coming your way. You're kind of on the stage. You're really on display. You're attracting a lot of opportunities to you. And people are just being people, and there's some inflammation there. Now, in another way, Mars can help you take a lot of action in a social way. So if you needed to do a social media management, if you needed to have the company carnival, if you wanted to be out with friends, this is a great energy. Mars also can be great for attracting someone to you. Now, remember, with this particular energy, Venus is already in your sign. So you are looking delicious. You are looking attractive. And then we put Mars into this social zone and it is like, oh, hey, over there, is that a Leo? Yes, it is. So if you are looking for a little attraction, that may be a great energy for you over there, okay? On the 21st, we've got the full moon happening at 29 degrees of Capricorn. Again, go watch that Tale of Three Moons video where we get into it. But we've got this full moon that is happening and trying to change direction per se in your sixth house. So I think one of the things to remember here is that the sixth house being so much about health and wellness and your daily routine and how you handle your daily routine is that it's fine to understand at this point, at this moon, that something needs to be ended, acknowledged, or adjusted. So if your daily routine or the way that you do your work in a daily way is not working out for you, it's okay to change that particular routine. Now, as a whole, if you can, at this point in the month, avoid making drastic changes to your diet, to your exercise plan or something like that, I think it's going to be more advisable not to do that. Or if you need to, definitely get guidance from a correct professional, okay? On the 22nd, the sun moves into Leo. So happy, happy, happy birthday. Here you go. You are on. You're ready to do this. I know you've been ready for a while, but the sun popping over there gives you license and permission to just go. You are ignited. You are celebrating. But again, pay attention because Mercury is starting to slow down in your sign. So you do want to pay attention to what's coming to your zone because you're going to review it as well, even though it's birthday time. On the 5th, we see Mercury leaving that Leo territory and moving into Virgo. Now, as Mercury moves into this Virgo vibration, what we also have the opportunity to remember here, Leo, is money. We got to make decisions about money, where you're investing your money, how you're making money, how you allow money to flow to you. How do you use your skills and your talents to allow money to flow to you? That's going to be some big question and big decisions may need to be made. And we're going to see Mercury get to 4 degrees of Virgo. So I also think don't need a ton of stress around this because we are going to review that when we get to August. So plenty going on this month in terms of changes, especially around that professional life, especially with things around you and the direction you're going in your life, your title or reputation changes that you're taking on. Let me know what's shifting and changing for you, beautiful Leos, as we get to the end of this video. Put it in the comment section down below. All right, bye, Leos. Have a great month. My absolutely beautiful Virgo friends, and welcome to your horoscope for July of 2024. We're Virgo as we're coming into this month. We've still got this Cancerian energy going on. So we are still coming in. There's an emphasis in the social zone and things that are happening for you around friendships and social spaces that you are visiting into. But that energy is going to start right at the beginning of the month to start to wane down, right? So it's going to start to slow. It's not over, but it is definitely going to be slowing down. And you're going to be coming into the space that's more about rest and rejuvenation and spirituality, doing a lot more introspection, getting ready for birthday time as we get, into the upcoming months. So it's really a time where you're going to get some vibration this month where I think you feel like it's going. And then as the energy starts to change, Virgo, you're having to bring your attention home, not only home into your physical home, but also just into your own body, to the signals that your body is sending you, to how eating that food at this time in your life is affecting you, and really being tapped into the ways that you can improve listening to your body and your intuition through your body. I think that that's a really big theme that's going to be happening for you this month as well. Now, not to mention, it is going to be a wonderful energy where we get Mars traveling through your 10th house energy. This means this is going to really ignite and put a lot of energy into your career zone. So we know that the career area in your chart is going to be happening when Mars gets into Gemini, and that's going to be mid-month. There's just like this energy that comes in. So if there's anything you wanted to try to change or to get moving forward in that work and career sense, that's going to be a great energy. So let's jump in here and walk through the month, okay? Right at the beginning of the month, we have got, on the 2nd, we've got Neptune going retrograde in this vibration of Pisces. Now, we're going to see that as this energy is going retrograde, yes, absolutely, it's still traveling over here with the vibration of Saturn as well. Now, they're not close to each other, but it does definitely get your attention. And as Neptune's going retrograde here, one of the things it can do is it's in your partnership zone. So, if you've had this idea or this ideal, Virgo, around your partnerships, whether that be a business partnership, a marriage, or some kind of contract or other serious relationship that you are consciously committing to be involved in, if you've had these ideals around this relationship, as Neptune goes retrograde here on the 2nd, and as it continues to do this movement, you're going to be just stuck in the reality of things, right? Like you're really hit with the reality of things. Is this thing actually that ideal relationship you thought? And if not, the distance between the ideal that you've had for this thing and what it really is can be kind of painful, unfortunately. But ultimately, what it's looking to do here is not to say give up on it, it's never going to work out. It's asking you to look at the reality of a relationship in your life really seriously. And if you want to keep the relationship in your life, the questions are going to be, what needs to happen for this to be the very best relationship that it can be? And you may not have all of the clarity in the world. As we're traveling through July, we're going to see this retrograde go on until December. So you've got some time, but I can say that as we're going to close out this year, December moving forward, when Neptune comes direct, I do think that it will be an ideal time. You will have some more clarity, and it's at that spiritual quiet level where when I'm telling you, trust your body, trust your intuition this month, because your body's even telling you the direction you need to improve your relationships, to improve your connections. And then when we get to the end of the year, we can see real implementation of some solutions, maybe even a different vibration, coming to your table, and you're able to bridge the gap between that ideal and the reality, and they're much closer together. Now, I do think that this Neptune retrograde can also be a little bit tricky if you are dealing with things where you have open enemies, okay? Open enemies means that you know that you are in challenge or conflict with them. And it doesn't just have to be things that are, you don't like somebody at the office. It doesn't just have to be around legal things. It can also be in a business negotiation or something like that, but you know who the other challenging party is. And with this Neptune retrograde here, it can also just be a space where it's like, this feels a little bit complicated. And what's the best thing to do is to not stop, but slow down so that you can really look at what's happening, okay? Now, also on the 2nd, we're going to see that Mercury moves into the vibration of Leo. And as Mercury moves into Leo, it's going to be in this very gregarious Leo kind of energy. First of all, asking you to move into the space of expression. Okay, we've got the planet of thinking, of reasoning, of communication, and of decision making moving into fixed fire. So there's something that needs to be said. There maybe are some decisions that need to be made, but they need to be made in a sense of like leadership, right? It needs to be clear, and there needs to be a directness that is going with this particular energy. So as we see Mercury traveling here, I wouldn't be surprised at all for you, Virgo, if you're thinking to yourself, okay, now, am I appropriately aligned with these people? Is this the right connection for me spiritually? How do I feel when I'm engaging in this energy over here? Is this the right spiritual practice for me? Are there things and conversations I need to say and bring things to a culmination? That could absolutely be a reality of what's happening for you. Now, I do want to say to kind of keep your eyes on Mercury this month, because we're going to see Mercury on the 16th enter into its pre-retrograde shadow time. So the things that are coming up for you, you're going to review them when we get into August. So maybe just start to allow some information to come into you. Maybe allow yourself not to take things so personally. Just make it an information gathering mission. I mean, Mercury is your ruling planet. So, I don't suspect you'll have too much problem with it, but making any big decisions with it right now might not be the best thing. Instead, use it as an information gathering mission at this particular time, okay? When we get to the 5th, we're going to have the new moon at 14 degrees of Cancer. And if you have not watched my video on the tale of 3 moons, which are the 2 full moons in Capricorn and this new moon happening here in Cancer, I would really encourage you to click into the playlist and check it out, because I go really in depth in the way that the moons are working together. And you really want to make sure that you are maximizing your potential at every lunation that we have, right? That's where astrology gets really, really good. Okay, so we've got this new moon happening, and it's over in the vibration of Cancer, so it is lighting up a social zone for you. So some of the things that can be coming up for you is, 1, you're planting your seeds of intention for, you're looking around at the grouping of people or the organizations that you're a part of, or social media things in your life, and you're going, is this the right alignment for me? Does this convey the message that I really want to be sharing, right? You're asking all of these kinds of questions, because really when we look around our social groups and we think about the desires that we also have for our life and what we want to experience, we have to ask if we are being surrounded by people who can also help lift us up to where we want to go. Their heads are facing in the same direction that we want to travel. So I would be thinking, where do you need to also emotionally get some old patterning or some old beliefs out of the way in order to be able to grow in your social groupings? Now, I don't know that I think for you, Virgo, that this is the easiest of the lunations that we've had, because it's kind of pulling on you just a little bit, right? It's asking you not to be as entirely rational and to drop down into the emotions of some of these things and plant your seeds of intention to begin something new here. Because what you want to bring into physical, tangible form, you might just be missing some layer of the emotional content and body that's needed to get it to actually develop in an outward way. So, let me know how this moon does go for you, how you're experiencing it as you're traveling throughout the month, okay? When we get to the 11th, we see Venus moving into the vibration of Leo as well. Now, this 12th house is just really, really attracting a lot of energy here in Leo. It's just pulling it right to you. It's going, okay, why don't we rest? Why don't we, Leo, be willing to take a risk spiritually? Maybe I have to take a risk to trust my intuition. Maybe I have to take a risk to just understand and trust that things are going to work out. Now, Venus also being here in Leo, along with Mercury, something that comes up for me is this energy around doing something charitable. You're doing or you're being a part of something charitable, but it's coming to you. Venus is saying that you're being maybe known for this thing that you're doing. It's not that you're necessarily promoting yourself, but you are being known and getting a little bit of potential recognition around that energy as well. Now, like I said, when we get to, let's talk about the 15th first. When we get to the 15th, we have got Mars and Uranus coming together. And as these two come together in the vibration of Taurus, this can create, this is the thing, Mars and Uranus are both absolutely willing to tear things up, move them around if need be. You know what I mean? It's just willing to say, let's make a change here. Now, they don't always do it in the most subtle way. So looking here into your chart and going, okay, well, what are these two trying to communicate? One of the energies we know is that taking an action that may be impulsive to bring about a change is a real option here. So we want to just be mindful of not taking any snap actions, making any snap decisions on this particular day, because what can happen is you make that snap decision because you were uncomfortable or you felt like you just wanted change in some way, and it's not actually the right energy. So around the 15th, 16th, 17th, I would just be mindful of any snap decisions that kind of come up for you, especially, if you're like, forget it, I'm going to go on ahead and I'm booking that trip and I'm leaving, or I'm going to just have that surgery or something like that. I would just be really mindful, Virgo, okay? Now, when we get to the 16th, we see Mercury move into pre-retrograde shadow time at 21 degrees of Leo. So again, you're kind of paying attention to this energy and this information and things that are coming up, and we'll work on those things again when we get into August. Okay, when we get to the 20th, now we've got Mars moving into Gemini. Oh man, Mars in the career sector for you. What a big theme for the month, because you have this real opportunity here to be looking at pushing something forward. Like you're like, I want to go further. I want to see something different, right? You're like, I've been working on this. I've been studying for this. I've been waiting to pour my knowledge into this. I've been waiting to try this on. You know, you've spent this beautiful, Tauran energy learning and studying something, and now you want to expand it. You want to put it out. You're like, okay, and I want to be known for it. I'm ready to be known for it. So here's another way to think about this. If you've been doing something and you've been working on something, Virgo, and it's like you're invisible. For some reason, you feel like you're invisible. One of the things that I think Mars in Gemini is really brilliant at is strategies. I will never forget when a man who runs the city and he does city surveying and planning and stuff like that, he actually was talking about Gemini as being a master city planning energy. So it really makes me think of this vibration of strategy and strategy implementation, and what are you doing? Where do you need to take a risk to be seen? That could be really important to you. And some of it, I think, is coming from this place where you're accepting that you do want something. It's not just, I just want to be humble. You're like, I want to be humble, but I do have a mission. You do have a vision here and you'd like to fulfill it. So I think that's a really beautiful energy. Okay, as we get to the 21st, we've got the full moon happening at 29 degrees of Capricorn. Again, if you have not checked out my video on the tale of 3 moons, please go through and check that out. It really goes into some good detail to help you, okay? But when we get to this moon on the 21st, this is actually happening in your 5th house, so this romantic sector, but also the sector of children, joy, pleasure, play. And this particular full moon is saying something needs to be ended, acknowledged, or adjusted in how you love, how you play, a connection with somebody that maybe you're romantically attached to, an engagement with something with your child or children, right? Now you've been working for 3 moons. This is the 3rd of the 3 moons, and you've been trying to bring something into tangible material form, but you've got to see emotionally at that new moon what emotional patterns or conditionings have been in the way and have really stopped you from launching this thing out there and creating it in a tangible form. So changes that need to be made will be ended, acknowledged, or adjusted at this particular full moon. On the 22nd, we now see the sun move into Leo, so really lighting up that 12th house space. Rest, rejuvenate yourself, go to a spiritual retreat, have a spiritual retreat in your bathtub, whatever you need to do. Work on things behind the scenes. Allow your life to slow. This is your winter before your birthday time, and this popping out of the cake, I'm back kind of energy comes into your wheelhouse. So give yourself a chance to rest, okay? And on the 25th, we see Mercury moving into Virgo, so moving into home court territory. I think you'll very much so enjoy. You're like, oh, my mind is back. You know, it's kind of the feeling when the ruling planet comes back to you. So as Mercury moves into your sign, coming back home, if you're craving a little bit of knowledge, if you're craving being willing to make decisions, really use your discernment, use your voice and your body to be of service to others. Even if there's a story of fertility, you know, I think that this could be something that's coming up around this time as well. Really enjoy making those decisions, thinking out your plans and your strategies, and being energized by what these energies are bringing to your vibration for the month. The only thing I want to tell you, Virgo, is don't forget to allow yourself to slow down where you need to slow down, because you're going to get into your personal energy peak as we get into August, and you'll have the most energy that you will have all year long. So try and enjoy this, okay, Virgo? Let me know how it goes for you in the comment section down below. Hello, my absolutely beautiful Libra friends, and welcome to your horoscope for July of 2024. We're Libra, just coming in straight out of the gate this month. We're starting out the month on the 2nd with Neptune going retrograde in the vibration of Pisces. And it makes me think that not only the combination of Neptune going retrograde here in Pisces in this 6th house space, but also that you've still got the South Node continuing to travel through your sign, that it's really important that you are paying attention to your health this month. I don't think, unless it's absolutely necessary, that this is the best month for making major decisions about your health or being like, this is the month I'm going to really change my dietary plans or anything like that. It's just not so clear and not so steady at this particular time. Instead, what I think it's a better time for is if you needed to do, like, with Neptune retrograde, Neptune when it's direct is showing us I have this ideal. I have this idea or this ideal around my health or my daily routine, my fitness and my health and wellness life. But when Neptune goes retrograde, we see the reality of what it is, right? If you're like, oh, I thought I was doing really well, and you find out you still actually need to lose 10 pounds, or you thought I was doing really well and you only actually put on 2 pounds of muscle, whichever direction this goes, it's like you see the distance between the idea or the ideal that you have and what the reality is. And so, first of all, you are an air energy. So something that can happen is, depending on the distance between the ideal and the reality, you can kind of take a little mental hit, right? And it can turn into conversation that's not always so pleasant. But also, the other part of it is that there may be information. I just want to say there may be information that needs to be gathered before you make a lot of major decisions or a major decision, because it's like if you are getting your blood work done, prime example, I got my blood work done during the last Neptune retrograde, and they could not find out what was going on with me to save my life. As sure enough, as soon as Neptune was out of retrograde, we repeated the test and we found the information. And then I could make a very different decision than I would have made when we were looking around and things were kind of foggy. So just to be mindful, if there is something that needs to be done, please do a lot of research in it, get another set of eyes with you so that you're just making the best decision for yourself possible. Okay. Now, also on the second, we're going to see that Mercury steps into Leo, lighting up this 11th house space for you. So it's very, very social. So we bring Mercury, our planet of thinking and decision making, into a very social space, and not only into a very social space, but we bring it into a social space acting like the big, bold, fixed fire that Leo absolutely has to offer. So as we're looking at this energy traveling through Leo, there might be big things that need to be said, or grand gestures that want to be made, or, maybe even a friend is making a grand gesture to you, or they say, come, go on this vacation with me. I mean, whatever it is, the conversation and the energies are just going to get bigger. They can also be conversations that have been taking, quite a bit of courage for someone to share with you or for you to share with them. So think big. Think in a way that is a bit grandiose, is a bit expressive. Know that you'll have the gift of gab and glittery persuasion. And also, in your decision making, Libra, make decisions like a boss, okay? Have you ever seen a Leo be like, oh, I'm just playing little over here. Don't worry about little old me. No, never, okay? So make decisions like a boss. This is fixed fire. Make your decisions very, very clearly. When we get to the 5th of the month, we've got the new moon happening at 14 degrees of Cancer. If you have not watched my video on the tale of 3 moons, please make sure you check that out because I go through both of the full moons happening in Capricorn and this new moon sandwiched in the middle because they are happening together. It's not happening in a vacuum at all. They all actually speak to one another. So this new moon that is happening here on the 5th is this indicator to us up here in your 10th house space of your career, your soul level calling, your reputation or your title that we call you in public. It's giving you an opportunity to not only plant your seeds of intention to have different opportunities develop for you and come your way, but it's also a commitment to developing in that direction, to develop into the reputation that you want to have. And sometimes with this Cancerian energy, as it fits between these 3 moons, it's about there have been some emotional conditionings or some emotional holdups that have actually been holding you back from stepping into that self-development, And I think about it, Libra, how many of you you've been too afraid, or someone told you, earlier in your life that you were not ever allowed to be your own boss. It's stupid to own your own business, or you'd never make it to the top, or you'd never get married, or, whatever the story is. Some of those things might be popping up this new moon, and you can plant your seeds of intention to commit to unlearning those stories, to having clarification and illumination around your career and anything going on in your reputation that need clarity so that you can go ahead and work on it and make the best decisions for yourself moving forward, okay? When we get to the 11th, we see Venus moving into the vibration of Leo as well. Now, Venus is your ruling planet, so this is always nice to see what Venus is getting up to and getting into, right? So as Venus moves into this Leo space, she's also going to bring the vibration into the social zone. So first of all, Venus is an attracting energy, so literally magnetizing your social area. So I would not be surprised at all if the social invites, if the social calendar, if you're like, man, I was at this event and this person, I talked to them and it's just like, wow, how did that happen? You know, the connections are really easy to kind of pull to you, especially if you use that Mercury in Leo and say, yes, I would love to go to that event, right? It's also, Venus is still just Venus. So there's romance that's definitely in the air this month. You know, if you are single like a Pringle and they're not single at all, but if that's you, then this might be a nice month to call that into you if you're ready to have it. If you are committed, it is a nice month to go out. Take your partner out, go do something social together, and remember and romance each other for sure, okay? All right, as we get to the 15th, we see Mars and Uranus coming into a conjunction in the vibration of Taurus. Now, this is a little bump in the road, and I think it can be as big or as little as a bump as is necessary. But in Taurus, we know we're looking at something in the material plane. Touch it, taste it, work with it, and it's likely going to have something to do with finances or relationships. Now, this lights up your 8th house space, okay? So as these two are coming together, and Mars and Uranus are happy to make war. They're happy to make war. They're like, nope, we just need to mess this up. We need to get it going, because the point is they want it to get going. Something needs to happen here is the point of it, right? In your 8th house space, there could be something unexpected coming up in some kind of joint resource that you have engagement with. You know, is this a loan that you've got going on? 8th house, death, debt, and taxes. Are you getting information in that direction? Does something surprising happen to your partner? You and your partner talking about finances or the deep stuff in your relationship. It's not just, you know, should we stay together? Should we not? It's the deeper issues of if we're thinking about connecting more deeply, what's going on for us there? If we're thinking about getting away from each other, what's going on with that there? So you're definitely into the deeper layers. Now, the one thing I do want to say about it is because Mars and Uranus are going to create some movement here, try not to be impulsive. Okay, because they can bring the feelings to the surface, and the earth doesn't like to be rattled, right? We feel unsteady when the earth is moving. And so we can be impulsive and make a rash decision or say a thing that we can never take back. So I would just encourage you. I mean, it's Uranus. When you get hit by lightning, you get hit by lightning, right? What are you going to do? But to the best of your ability, around the 15th, 16th, 17th, if you can, just try not to lose your cool. That would probably go a long way in your relationship and joint resource sector, okay? On the 16th, we see Mercury moving into pre-retrograde shadow time at 21 degrees of Leo. So what's coming up for you? Conversations that are having at that time, I would tell you to just kind of keep an eye on them. You know, I wouldn't worry too much about them. Just keep an eye on them, because we are going to go and review these when we get into August and Mercury actually takes that retrograde. On the 20th, we see Mars moving into the vibration of Gemini, and this lights up your 9th house space. And I do like this because Mars in your 9th house area, publishing, marketing, broadcasting, you're ready to expand something out. You're ready to push something forward. Okay. You know, it's like when Mars was over here traveling in this Taurus sector, you had all this 8th house energy, things with your partner, partnerships, resources, large sums of money, maybe an inheritance, a tax thing, something you invested in, a collaboration, whatever, right? And now that Mars is here in the 9th house, you're like, let me at 'em. I am ready to see different horizons. I want to know what's going on. You know, you're just open to these new areas of expansion and possibility, which I think is absolutely beautiful. So if you are working in marketing, publishing, marketing, broadcast, any of those spaces, this could be great. Now, we also have to always be mindful that while the ninth house also contains, maybe you want to go on a trip, you're going overseas or something like that, or you're learning a foreign language, it can also involve legal things. Okay. So if you've got Mars here, there's a fair amount of inflammation into this ninth house space. So if there are legal things that need to be handled at this time, one of the beautiful things about Gemini is it's a good strategist. So make sure that, especially anything financial, if you do have something legal or confrontational going on around finances, I really think the 20th, the 21st are great days to help you move something forward, to take action on something, even if there's a little bit of a delay to it or something like that, okay? All right, when we get to the 21st, we've got that full moon happening at 29 degrees of Capricorn. Now, this is the one where we've gotten some clarity on a whole bunch of things, particularly emotional holdups or emotional patterning and conditioning that has been, in fact, holding us back from starting something that you'd like to start. Now, the full moon, as it comes up, is going to be in your fourth house space. So home, family, real estate, property, things having to do with your parents, okay? So whatever is going on for you there, some of you could absolutely be like, okay, I have all the information I need now. Now I am ready to make a move, or I'm ready to make some decisions around my parents or things like that. Whatever it is, this is still, it's home. This is a domestic space. And because this moon is at 29 degrees of Capricorn, I still get this sense that it's like you're making decisions for a parent or for someone in a position of authority. Like you're making a very big decision, or, you're being put in a position to have to figure out what goes next. And so this is really going to be something that needs you to hone in, really be set and ready to get the emotional things out of the way so that you can move forward in a way where, yes, even if it's stressful, you realize that you're going to make a decision that's going to create long-term impact into your life, okay? On the 22nd, we've got the sun moving into the vibration of Leo, of course, lighting up that 11th house space. So again, the social life is becoming more and more and more. It is coming online. Man, is it coming online. And again, Venus is still traveling over here, so that friend might become the lover. So keep me posted for sure. As we close out the month on the 25th, we see Mercury moving into Virgo. Now, Mercury is in home court advantage when it's traveling in Virgo, so it's going to be lighting up the 12th house space. So this is a time where maybe you're working on things behind the scenes, or there's lots of information that is flowing from behind the scenes. Again, at this particular point, I wouldn't be worrying about it too much. I would be gathering information, just kind of watching how things are flowing, because we will be catching this up in the retrograde that Mercury is going to take in August. So it's only going to get to 4 degrees of Virgo. So we'll have plenty of time to see what's going on in that 12th house space. But if you did want to book that spiritual retreat, if you did want to book that breath class, or if you did want to book time to detox your house or organize your things, that would be a really great set of decisions to be able to enact now and really watch how they flourish and bloom for you as we travel through that retrograde in August. All right, Libra, I hope you have a beautiful month. Share it with me in the comment section down below. Hello, my absolutely beautiful Scorpio friends, and welcome to your horoscope for July of 2024. We're Scorpio this month. I just want to tell you, we really have a lot going on in the career zone. A lot is opening up. The energy moving through the Leo vibration, I think, really has caught your attention. It's great because you're going to be able to get some things moving forward, which is really exciting. But the flip side of that coin is that it's taking a lot of energy from you this month. So one of the things that's caught my attention pretty immediately is making sure all month long, Scorpio, that you are really taking care of your health. More than anything, also paying attention to in the taking care of your health zone, that you are looking at what you need to do to rest. Right? To make sure that you are getting rest so that you're not burning that candle at both ends. And yes, sometimes we are doing that, and we've really got to turn up the heat to get some things done and to push something forward. But there's also this energy here that is just saying, listen, we don't want this to get bigger or louder than it needs to be. Now, the other thing about making sure that your rest is also making sure that you are fueled correctly. So really making sure that you are looking into and taking care of your diet. Okay, so please, Scorpio friends, make sure you are looking after yourself this month, because it's going to be really intensely important. And there's a lot of psychological stuff that goes into how and why you're taking care of yourself the way that you are as well. So these may be some questions that are presenting themselves for you, okay? All right. As we're getting into this month, Scorpio, on the 2nd, we've got Neptune going retrograde in the vibration of Pisces. Now, that's going to be lighting up your 5th house space. So as we see Neptune taking this retrograde at this particular time, it's like when we're dealing with Neptune, the thing is to remember is we have this idea or this ideal around a particular area of our life. For you, Scorpio, it's around your 5th house. It's about romance, pleasure, play, but it's also things having to do with conceptions of starting something new. And that can be conceptions of people, conceptions of businesses or hobbies, but also just your children, right? We have an idea or an ideal in this area. So as Neptune goes retrograde, what we're left with is not just the dreamy ideal of it, but the reality. So we need to see during the Neptune retrograde, how far is the distance between the ideal that I have and the reality of me achieving that ideal. So you'll be working on these conceptions here, looking at, where you are softening to really enjoy pleasure in your life, having ease, having a good connection with your children, but also Neptune and Saturn are traveling in the same vibration. They're not close to one another, but they are traveling in this space. So as Neptune is also retrograde here, I just keep coming back to you making sure that you are clear on the ideals that you have for what your relationship with pleasure and play are. Really looking at your relationship with your body and your heart and listening to even what your physical heart is telling you, Scorpio, because these are going to be things that are under review. Now, also, on the 2nd, we've got Mercury moving into the vibration of Leo, beginning to light up the conversation in that 10th house space. So here we go. Now we're ready in Leo. We're making decisions. Mercury being our planet of decision-making, communication, okay, and discernment. So as we see Mercury move here into this Leo space, light up this 10th house, we start hearing some conversations around work for you. It could start to just get really very busy. There's a lot of decisions that need to be made. There are pieces of information coming in from like every direction. So this is going to start to take up a lot of your energy as Mercury is moving here. So I want you to just, again, keep in mind, Scorpio, really be mindful of the vibration of your own energy, okay? Now, when we get to the 5th, we're going to have a new moon happening at 14 degrees of Cancer, a fellow water energy. And if you have not watched my video on the Tale of 3 Moons, where I highlight the 2 full moons that are happening in Capricorn, as well as this Cancer new moon, I really want to invite you to pop over and check it out, because I go really in depth into these moons and what they're bringing your attention to in that video, okay? But we've got this moon happening in Cancer, and it's lighting up your 9th house space. So publishing, marketing, broadcasting, faith, or philosophical beliefs that guide your life, things having to do with international travel, whether you're going or someone's coming to you. These are all things that live into that particular vibration. Now, as we're looking at this new moon, you're planting your seeds of intention to have this 9th house be very lush, but you've also had to look at, before you can bring that lushness into life, before that publishing, marketing, broadcasting really blows up for you, there have been some emotional patterns or some beliefs or some emotional conditioning that's maybe been in the way, and you're needing to come to the other side of it. But we get to, at the new moon, commit to growing, to coming to the other side of those things. So if you're, started your own business, or you're moving into the realm of marketing using social media, things like that, and you've always thought, oh my God, this is so dumb, I would never do this. You're coming to the other side of the belief of and understanding of what it is, what it can do for your business, why you would do it, these kinds of things, okay? All right. Now, when we get to the 11th, we see Venus moving into the vibration of Leo. This is also going to add a little bit more energy into that 10th house space. But Venus is an attracting energy. So it's pulling in opportunities towards you. It's just pulling them in, pulling them in, pulling them in. With both Venus and Mercury here in this Leo energy, you just have a bunch of highlight at the top of your chart. So things having to do with your professional life, ambitions that you have, not just your career, but also your reputation or the name that we call you in public. There is a nice amount of amplification happening here. So whatever you would like this area to be, if you would like to ask for a raise, if you would like to begin to move towards a direction of taking on a higher position or something like that, you are in good territory to be able to do that. Now on the 15th, we hit a little bit of a bump in the road, okay? So we're going to see Mars, one of your ruling planets, come into a conjunction with Uranus, who's in Taurus. Now, this is lighting up your partnership sector. Here's the thing to note. Uranus and Mars can come together and you're like, I'm just breaking out of my normal routine. I'm going to try some different relationships. I'm going to have even a different relationship with myself, right? I'm just breaking out of it, willing to do something different. That is the sweet definition of it. But these two are also quite willing to go to war, right? They are willing to mess some stuff up. So as we're talking about this in your relationship, this may be a few days, 2-3 days, I would say 15th, 16th, 17th, where something could be going on in your relationship and you have an opportunity to really lose your cool. And I would really encourage you, Scorpio, to step back for a minute and don't take the bait if you can avoid it. Now, the thing about relationships is if there's already cracks in the cement, sometimes the cement needs to be blown out so you can look at what's under there and sort it out, right? Other times, there are things in relationships where Uranus is just like getting hit with electricity. As controlled as we'd like to be, we can't always. And something happens in a relationship, that roommate comes home and throws the plant on the floor. I don't know. And you're like, move out, right? So sometimes we have to look and see what happens. But I want you to know going into it that if you can avoid making any swift knee-jerk reactions at this time, you're going to be all the better for whatever is changing in this particular relationship. Now, on the 16th, we're going to see Mercury move into its pre-retrograde shadow time energy at 21 degrees of Leo. So what I want to say here is in your career, as we get to the 16th of the month, as information's coming in or maybe decisions that you need to make, take it easy. Like, be cool. You can be cool with it a little bit because you're going to review whatever is coming up here in August. So this is not the end all be all of things. We're going to definitely review that before it sticks going into the August energy. Now on the 20th, we see Mars, your ruling planet, one of your ruling planets, moving into the vibration of Gemini. Okay. Mars bringing that whole vibe into Gemini is going to light up your 8th house space. So, first things first, this is going to be about joint connections, joint resources, joint connections that you are involved with. Now, this can be intimacy with another human being, and you're finding out some information and it's a bit inflamed, right? Mars brings inflammation. You might find out that you've made more money from an investment or you're getting an inheritance, you need to do something to actually receive that. But also, it is a time where, because Mars is Mars and able to bring that real steady action to the table, that you might be putting yourself in the position to create a new strategy, right? Mars in Gemini is a good strategist. So if you're thinking about, I'm thinking about taking a trip, I'm thinking about even the trip I want my money or my marketing to take for me. Where do I want that trip to take people from A to B, right? Whatever it is, you've got a good amount of energy while Mars is going to travel here all the way until September to really be getting that done. Now, the other thing to just say about the Mars being in this particular area is I don't think that between now and September, while Mars is traveling here, that this is the very best time to make a really big financial investment in something, unless you are absolutely clear, you're absolutely sure. Instead, in the 8th house, pay things off, finish things, let them come to a close so that you have more resources to be able to play with and reinvest down the road, okay? All right, as we get to the 21st, we've got the full moon happening at 29 degrees of Capricorn. And this particular full moon, again, it's a part of that tale of 3 moons, so you want to check it out. But this is going to be the moon where you've been trying to bring something into tangible form and it just like was not working out. And this is in your 3rd house. So really since June, whether you've been trying to sign a contract or you've been trying to build a website, or you've been trying to build something social or a course or a program or finish a book, you've had this ambition to be able to do it. It's like it just was not working out for some reason. And now at this full moon where you have to end something, acknowledge something, or make a pivot or an adjustment, I think that this kicks the energy into gear. So if you needed to launch that website, if you wanted to teach that course or take a course, this would be the time where that energy is rolling in. Now, also the 3rd house does have to do with siblings. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on for you in July around siblings, but there's a lot of sibling interaction that could be popping up for you as well. And it's actually coming into tangible form, whereas before it might have been a bit emotionally charged and it couldn't quite land, and now it's sorted. Okay, on the 22nd, the sun moves into Leo. We are back to putting a whole bunch of big and beautiful light into that 10th house space, but now you're motivated, okay? It's bringing light, heat, life, and vitality. So you are just rocking and rolling. You are ready to go. Use that Leo energy to its absolute and very best. So, get after it. When we get to the 25th, we see Mercury moving into Virgo. Now, again, with Mercury making this move into Virgo, I wouldn't get too shaken up about it or too stressed out about what's going on in your social zone, something on social media, an ambition you have for yourself, because you are going to review it when we get into August. Okay, Scorpio, let me know in the comment section down below how the month is unfolding for you and how these themes are playing out for you. Have a great month, and I'll see you in August. Beautiful Sagittarius friends, and welcome to your horoscope for July of 2024. We're Sagittarius this month. I do want to say it out of the gate. I think you do have to be paying attention to your health. You do, right? There's still a fair amount of energy that is floating around, but it requires that you have the energy to keep expanding and living your best life. And the sun is going to be moving into Leo, lighting up your 9th house space. So this expansion energy that you really love is available to you, but you have to have the energy. You have to be fueled correctly in order to really take that on. Okay, so I just want to put that out there at the beginning of this video. Now, Sagittarius, as we are coming into the month, on the 2nd, we've got Neptune taking a retrograde, and Neptune's been causing you to take a look at your home life, home, family, real estate, property. Where do you live? Where do you want to live? Maybe even things in your lineage. And Neptune has been this idea or this ideal, and you've been holding this ideal of something, even an idea or an ideal of your parents or your mother. And now as Neptune goes retrograde, you're left with like the reality, like, what is this? What is going on? Am I living in the place that I really want to live? Where do I want to make my life? And the distance between your ideals and the reality that you have at your fingertips is really what the Neptune retrograde is trying to do. It's stripping the delusion or the illusion off of how well you're doing achieving that, especially spiritually. And it's going to let you see what work needs to be done to bridge that particular gap. Okay, so we'll be working on that all the way until December. Now, we've also got Mercury stepping into the vibration of Leo, starting the journey of really lighting up that 9th house space. So as Mercury is traveling here, I would expect to hear big news or news that is being shared with you in a big way. Now, this is also the 9th house space, so publishing, marketing, broadcasting could absolutely be on the table. There can be things going with higher education, international travel. All of that is absolutely going to be available, okay? When we get to the 5th, we've got the new moon happening at 14 degrees of Cancer, and this is lighting up your 8th house space. Now, this is going to be the space of some kind of joint resource that is happening for you, and it needs a little bit of your attention because the 8th house here under this Cancerian moon is really very strong. You've got to get something out of the way in order to really be able to maximize what you're going to be able to do at the Capricorn full moon. And if you haven't watched my video, The Tale of Three Moons, please make sure you check it out. I go really in depth of the 3 moons, the 2 full moons, and the Cancer new moon, and how they are working together and how you can take advantage of those energies. Either way, the 8th house is strong. So first of all, I think something going on in a partnership zone for you, whether it's taxes, insurance, maybe something with an inheritance, or any place where you are sharing money with another person, to include intimacy, being intimate with another person. You're really needing to deal with a couple things. And it's interesting because as this Neptune is going retrograde up here at your 4th house space at the beginning of the month, then we get to this new moon, and it's almost like what you were trying to handle, especially if it's something financial, Sagittarius, you needed to handle it, but you didn't have all the information, or it just couldn't be handled at that particular time. And at this new moon, it's like you're getting back in the groove. You're getting some things out of the way. You're getting your mojo back, and then you're going to be able to make these decisions, make the payment, or, whatever needs to happen in that 8th house space. So just keep in mind that I think if you're dealing with debt, taxes, insurance, detox, any of these kinds of things, you're going to definitely be able to get some emotional things out of the way, to get some home things out of the way, to be able to move that area forward. Okay, on the 11th, we've got Venus now moving into Leo. And as Venus takes this move into Leo, Venus is an attracting in energy. It's not our hustler energy. Venus is like, come to me, come to me, come to me. So we've got Venus moving over here into this Leo vibration, pulling towards you like a magnetism, right? You're magnetized towards higher education, and you're pulling friends to you, or you're pulling a social group to you in some way. You're pulling travel to you in some way. You're like, oh, I need to update my passport, and it's all just coming easily to you. I have a new faith or a belief structure, and I want to study that. I want to study wealth management matters, things like this. And it's all just kind of nicely coming to you with that Venus vibration. On the 15th, we've got a little bit of a sticky day. So we've got Mars and Uranus coming together in a conjunction, and this is in Taurus. So first of all, this is something that's been here for a while, Sagittarius. This is not new news. This is not new information. And this is really going to be around your health. So Sagittarius, when I tell you around the 15th, 16th, 17th of July, I want you really taking care of your health, really watching your health. I want you making sure you definitely have your inhaler or your EpiPen or whatever it is that you need to have with you, because as Mars and Uranus come together, sometimes it can be this great energy where you're like, I'm just breaking free. I'm just getting out of my normal rut. But here in the 6th house, it's almost like, the ability to like lose your cool, or have something go off in a way that's really surprising, and you get like a health situation that comes perceivably out of nowhere. This is very real. Now, if this happens to do with the 6th house, looking at the lens of like your coworkers or your daily routine, or people you are contracting with, or people you're in service to, like maybe you're a caretaker, like I said, it's a great energy to just lose your cool. And instead of making a rash decision and freaking out, let the lightning hit you, because that's very Uranus, and just stand still and breathe for a second to the best of your ability. Get your grounding before you make any big decisions, okay? On the 16th, Mercury is going to step into that pre-retrograde shadow time energy at 21 degrees of Leo. So like I said, decisions that you're making now, information that's coming in, you're going to redo it when we get into August. So just be easy. Now on the 20th, we've got some nice big energy coming while Mars is going to enter into Gemini. So Mars is coming into your conscious chosen one-on-one partnership space. So first of all, Mars is Mars. Mars brings inflammation. So if there are things going on in relationships, Mars will inflame that. And it's sometimes, it's going to be the inflammation's coming to let you know that there's pain somewhere, right? Something needs to be handled. Something's in the blood. It needs to be burned out. Something's in the muscle. It needs to be burned out, right? So it is a time to get things handled, to do what you need to do in your relationship zone to have the very best kind of relationships you can. And on the other side, Mars just brings movement or a change of direction in some kind of relationship dynamic for you. And it can also be that Mars can be impulsive and it wants to go in one direction. But with Gemini, you're able to actually create a strategy that's going to be the very best for you and your relationships moving from now all the way until September. So if you needed to make long-term plans with someone and you needed to gather all the details now, and then you're going to make a plan down the road, even if it is, like I said, it's not coming till 2025, but you're like, okay, let's start to make some plans on something. This can be a great energy to do that with. On the 21st, we've got that full moon happening at 29 degrees of Capricorn. And again, this is now you're bringing it into material reality. Something in your finances, like the finances kick back on or something like that, right? Because at the full moon, you're going to end something, acknowledge something, or you need to make an adjustment. So we've got this area of income. Things are coming back in. You need to pivot in some way so that money starts moving again in this area. Maybe you've got more clients that are coming to you, or you're taking more job offers or opportunity. Whatever it is, there's definitely a change to the financial zone. But Sagittarius, please keep in mind, you have to have your health this month in order to keep your finances on track, or have wealth strategies in place that if something does happen to you, you're already sorted. So just make sure you have everything you need to be as safe and secure and supported no matter what comes your way, okay? All right, beautiful Sagittarians, have a great month, and I will see you in August. Beautiful Capricorn friends, and welcome to your horoscope for July of 2024. We're Capricorn this month. Just want to say it, you're a part of the crew who I just want to make sure you're watching and taking care of your health and your energy this month. It's really important that you stay on top of that stuff, because this is the thing. There's a lot of productive energy going on in this health and wellness space. And so while it's like zesty because we get a lot of Mars activation to your energy, it's also a space where literally you could be burning out just a little bit. So I just want you to make sure that whatever you're working on, whatever you're putting your focus into, including your daily routines, your wellness, these kinds of things, that you are also actually making time to look after your mental and emotional health as well, making sure that you have a daily routine that's not just zapping your energy, okay? So please just make sure that you do that, and make sure you give yourself some downtime to rest as well. All right. Now, as we're coming into the month, we've got Neptune stepping into its retrograde in the vibration of Pisces. So Neptune's been working in this third house space for you. As Neptune is direct Capricorn, we're looking at this idea or these ideals, right, that you have around things like your siblings, around communication, around learning, around teaching, around, maybe you're writing a book, maybe you're putting up a website, or you're doing something like that in a way that we are communicating. And as Neptune goes retrograde, the ideal we have and the reality of what that state that thing is really in, like all the delusion gets stripped away, Capricorn, right? So it's like, now wait a minute. Am I really in alignment with these ideals, or is there something that I need to grow spiritually and in my vibration in order to actually meet that ideal and have that vibration live out in my life? So you've got that opportunity to be looking at that and working on that, and that's going to be in your zone all the way until we get to December to be in this review time, okay? Then we're going to see that Mercury moves into the vibration of Leo, like hailing the flag into your 8th house space. So as Mercury moves into this 8th house space, it's going to be a place of, first of all, remember that we transform in the 8th house. So while it is the house, Capricorn, of intimacy and assets, it's also a place where sometimes it gets really dark, or it feels like something's dying off in order for it to live really, really big. And that is definitely the truth of intimacy, right? We think about that, whether we're talking about sexual intimacy, financial intimacy, therapeutic intimacy, right? We don't come to those things being like, yes, just take me by my soul. That would be great. Like there has to be this surrendering process that's happening here. So as Mercury moves through this Leo territory, first of all, you might be making quite big decisions in this 8th house. You're like, I am making a decision to get on a debt and a loan consolidation or payoff plan. I'm doing that. Or you're having conversations that are maybe more deep. There could be conversations about sex, sexuality, sexual activity. These things could absolutely be on the table because Mercury's bringing a big, bold, much more extroverted sign into the equation. And we're not even done lighting up the Leo section for the month. So we're just getting jumped off right here. Now, on the 5th, we've got this new moon happening at 14 degrees of Cancer. And if you haven't watched my video, Capricorn, on the tale of 3 moons, please check that out because I go in depth on both Capricorn full moons that were happening obviously in your sign, and then the one that's happening in the 7th house, this new moon happening in Cancer. We really dig into that because this new moon is your opportunity, yes, to plant your seeds of intention to begin something different in your relationship life. And it can be absolutely brilliant and beautiful. However, there's something emotionally, whether it be an emotional blockage, whether it be emotional patterning or conditioning, maybe even some things flat out that have been around home that really have your emotional attention. And this new moon is an opportunity to commit to outgrowing those things so that you can really bring yourself fully into the world, fully into your partnerships, be really engaged and aligned even with your own self and being, especially the things that you'd like to bring into the material world. So it's a pretty powerful new moon, okay? As we get to the 11th, we see Venus now joining the tribe, coming into Leo. So we are pumping up the jam. But now Venus is attracting in. Venus doesn't hustle for anything. So our planet of love and beauty and how we harmonize is gliding in here, pulling things into this intimacy and asset space. And so collaboration is the word that comes to me. Where are you collaborating? Where are you finding friendship? Where are you finding, if you have something going on with death, debt, taxes, insurance, inheritance, estate planning, Venus can help make this a little bit easier, can help, bring a bit of diplomacy to the negotiations that maybe have to go or planning that has to get done. Now, the other thing with Venus in the 8th house, this is a place where more and more I see people actually decide they want to get married or they want to be together in that 7th house, but then they are not only pulling the trigger in the 8th house, but they're going deeply, immediately, like into counseling because they're going, okay, we understand that we came from past patterns. So this could be you too. You might be taking a bigger plunge. Now, if you happen to be one of my single Scorpios, and you are looking for something that is a bit more serious, I think that Venus and Mercury in this particular place in your chart, this is a great month to be looking for that because you're not going to be looking for something and attracting something that's just fly by night. This one might actually have a little bit of a chance, okay? All right, when we get to the 15th, we've got a bit of a bump in the road with Mars and Uranus coming together in a conjunction. And this is happening in fellow Earth energy Taurus. So as these two come together, in the nice portion of it, you're just breaking out, you're taking innovative action, and you are moving in a direction that you have just never moved before, especially romantically. You're like, wow, I'm really trying to date someone, or I'm going about dating in a way that I never have before, or I'm engaging with my children in a way that I never have before. Maybe you're having children. Maybe you're finding out you're pregnant. Maybe you're launching that business, right? These are great things. And these are expressions I want for you. But Mars and Uranus are also quite willing to tear something down. They're willing to go to war. So, I would just encourage you not to lose your cool and not to lose your head to the very best of your ability with this very surprising energy, because it's in the 5th house. Do you say that one thing to your child and you can never take it back? Do you make that one decision about, I'm going to take a risk to do this, and it is something that impacts you for the rest of your life? The 5th house has a lot to do with, romance and joy and pleasure and play, but it's not in the way where it's like super committed. So, you're like, oh, I met this person over by the fruit and now I have an STD. You know, I mean, like it can have that kind of shocking impact in your life. So I just want you to be a little bit mindful of that. Now, on the 16th, less temperature. We've got Mercury moving into its pre-retrograde shadow time at 21 degrees of Leo. So really, truly, from this point on in the month with the Mercury story, I think whatever is coming up, whatever's happening for you, you can just kind of let the information come in, you know, and know that you're going to review it. Any adjustments that are needed, you will make in August. And so I don't think it's a huge deal. Just start to pay attention to what's coming in and calling for your attention and decision making. On the 20th, we see that Mars is moving into the vibration of Gemini at this point. Now, Mars, wherever Mars goes, it's going to bring a bit of inflammation, right? It brings heat. It brings a change of direction, okay? So Mars coming into Gemini is lighting up your 6th house space. So I'm telling you, in terms of your daily routine, your health, your wellness, Mars does bring some excitement as well. But you don't want to be so busy that you're not taking care of yourself, or so stressed out mentally or worrying so much that you're actually missing the rest and allowing your body to come down. Instead, with Mars in Gemini here, what can be really helpful is to make a health strategy. What is your health and wellness strategy? What is your day-to-day routine strategy? How do you have some semblance of how all of these streams of life that you need to do come together, and you're able to make sense of some things, right? You're able to have a strategy in place that actually makes sense. That's going to be important. When we get to the 21st, we've got the full moon happening at 29 degrees of Capricorn. That's you, my friend. So we've got this full moon. You've been trying to get something to come into material plane. You've been trying to be a certain thing since June. There was an emotional hang up, but hopefully we've committed and we're making our way with that, especially how you show up in relationships or what you've been taught through relationships. Now, at this particular full moon, you've got your opportunity to pivot, and you have so much wisdom in your back pocket at this time, right? This is the second moon in your sign in just 2 months. So this feeling that as we go into this next half of the year and we finish out 2025, this really is a place where you get to end something, acknowledge something, or make a very big adjustment in terms of a transition about you being who you are, being in alignment with your being, loaded with your wisdom, showing up differently in your relationships because you are feeling in alignment with yourself and you're trusting your intuition and you know your heart. So this is a real opportunity to bring that into reality. How are you actually taking yourself out in the world and showing up to what's coming up around you? Because I get to see some really, really beautiful progress with this particular moon, okay? On the 22nd, the sun dashes itself over here into Leo, joining the rest of the crew, and it's bringing light, heat, life, and vitality. Again, there is a sense in the 8th house of getting rid of death, debt, detoxing, taxes, things like that. But also the intimacy piece is really very strong. There's just such a strong sexual pull going on in the energies for you, I think, this month, Capricorn. So that's something to just keep your eye on, and definitely keep an eye on those reproductive organs as well. As we close out the month on the 5th, we've got Mercury moving into the vibration of Virgo. Okay, as Mercury moves here into this Virgoan vibration, one of the things to again keep in mind is that whatever is starting to happen, whatever information is calling for your attention, Mercury is only going to get to 4 degrees of Virgo. So you're really going to just be reviewing most of what came up for you around July 16th, going all the way into August when we actually take that retrograde. So I think you can be just a bit easy, okay? All right, my beautiful Capricorn friends, I hope you have a gorgeous month. Let me know how it goes for you in the comment section down below. I'll see you in August. Hello, my beautiful Aquarian friends, and welcome to your horoscope for July of 2024, which I'm so excited, Aquarius, to do your horoscope because a few of the signs ahead of you really had a health watch on them for July of 2024. And really the health arena in your chart looks pretty good. I'm actually very happy with what I see here in the general. Of course, you have to check your own chart to just really be sure. But for the most part, things look very good. I think after we get to the second half of the month and we get more into the Leo vibration and we're taking this on, we're going to pay a little bit of attention, mostly because that's your relationships are putting a little pressure on you, and that might be taking your attention or putting a bit stress on your health. So we'll pay a bit of attention to that. Okay. Other than that, your 6th house is really nice. So if you are looking to make changes in your health, your daily routine, any of those kinds of things, you've got a lot of good energy to support you doing that. And my people who are looking for work, or you're looking for clients or something like that, this is a good month for you to be able to find those. Of course, again, this is in the general. Now, let's just say that you are also already employed, but you want something else. This would be a month where I would tell you 100% put that resume out, because it may be the opportunity you have. For those of you who already have a job and you're like, I just want to make a little bit more money, it's interesting. The moving pieces of coworkers might be putting you in a position where you're like, oh, I'm actually getting more hours. Now, for some of you, that's not going to be great. You're like, I don't want to work anymore. They're already not paying me enough to do what I do, right? Like, you may not love that, but there could definitely be a shift in this daily routine kind of energy that is showing up, okay? Now, as we're starting out the month, we are starting out with Neptune stepping into retrograde, and we're going to be experiencing this retrograde energy all the way until we get to December, Aquarius. So Neptune is retrograde here in Pisces in your 2nd house. So this is about this idea that you have around your finances, how you make money, what you value. It's this ideal, this set of ideals. But when Neptune goes retrograde, the dreaminess of how close we are to actually being in alignment with those ideals fades away. And you're just left with the reality of, like, how are you doing with your finances? How are you doing with your values, right? These kinds of things. How are you doing with creating streams and rivers of money to flow to you, to find you with your skills and talents? And the larger the gap is between your ideal and the reality, the tougher that the Neptune retrograde can be. But hopefully you're able to use that as more of a sense of motivation to go, I just need to get in alignment with the vibration of that ideal in order to actually achieve it and have it in my bubble, okay? Now, we're also going to see that Mercury moves into the vibration of Leo. So as Mercury moves into Leo, now we've got a lot going on in your 7th house. The conversation is kicking up, and that is to say the least. The conversation is kicking up. People are going to want to have conversations with you. Some of them are warm and loving and exciting, and it's like, oh yeah, we should have talked about that years ago. Lots of laughter is something that could be happening. But also, to the other side of things, conversations that are coming up in your relationship zone, I'm going to tell you, you're probably going to review them when we get into August, because Mercury is going to go into its pre-retrograde shadow time, which means things are going to start to slow down, kind of come into a container for review, and then we'll be re-looking at it in the August retrograde time. So as information is coming up, or invitations from, people in a social gathering or something like that are coming up, you'll have a chance to review them. But also, if there are big conversations that need to be had in your relationships, I think that this will be the time that you'll be doing that. Now, as we get to the 5th, we've got the new moon happening at 14 degrees of Cancer. And if you have not watched my video about the tale of 3 moons, where I talk about the 2 full moons in Capricorn and the 1 in Cancer, I really encourage you to check it out, because I went really in depth into those videos. So this particular new moon happening here in Cancer is, again, lighting up this 6th house space for you. So planting those seeds of intention, being willing to call in a job that you like, but also being really clear on the emotional issues, the emotional conditioning, maybe some, old beliefs that you're holding on to about being allowed to have a certain kind of work or job or health routine, or, a healthy diet, or, things like that. There's a lot of energy for you to commit to here at this new moon, learning the skills that help bring that to light, which I think is going to be beautiful. On the 11th, we've got Venus moving into Leo now, so bringing a lot more excitement into that Leo space, so into that 7th house space. But as Venus comes here, Venus is acting as an attracting energy, and this helps relationships. It really helps relationships. The conversations that need to be had, there's there's pleasure, there's harmony, there's diplomacy. It's a little bit easier to connect. So this might be that nice healing salve that you need in a relationship conversation, but also it's just good if you needed to make long range plans or something like that. Venus can help you negotiate the terms of that engagement. On the 15th, we've got a bump in the road because we've got Mars and Uranus coming into a conjunction. And I love to believe that the Mars and Uranus is just going to help you. You're breaking out, right? You're just breaking out. You're going to do something different in your home, family, real estate, property. You're just living your best life, trying something different. But Mars and Uranus kind of act like a shocking energy, and they are both willing to go to war. Now, in the fourth house space, this is home, family, real estate, property. So something coming up with your family or a family member. Now, this is also in the energy of Taurus. So one of the things I would tell you to be paying attention to, Aquarius, is the plumbing and piping in your house, or a faucet blows or something like that. Any place where we have kind of a neck situation in terms of the structures in your home. This can be something that is like, whoa, where did that come from? Now, what I would highly suggest to you, Aquarius, is whatever comes up 15th, 16th, 17th, as this energy is working its way, is do not lose your mind. Like, do not lose your mind. It's interesting with Uranus, we are reactive. We just are. It's like being hit with a lightning bolt, right? But if you can just be cool like a cucumber, this is really going to help you, because having a big reaction or saying something or doing something or making a really impulsive decision, it's going to probably catch up with you. And that it's not going to just catch up with you for 3 days. It's something that could catch up with you for the years to come. So I would really be mindful about decisions and conversations happening there. On the 16th, we've got Mercury in that pre-retrograde shadow time. So slowing down, we'll review it all in August. On 20th, we have got Mars moving into Gemini, into your romance sector. That's fun. It's fun. It's pleasure. It's play. There's a lot more excitement when Mars moves here, because areas of your life that have maybe been a bit static, they change directions. And now it's like, man, if you've been wanting to date, or you've been forgotten that you are sexy, that you get a little bit of your sexy back with this energy, or if something's been going on with your children and they're taking a new direction in some way, this Mars energy will help you get that done. On the 21st, we've got that full moon at 29 degrees of Capricorn, so lighting up this 12th house space. And again, this is the place of where we've got beliefs, behaviors, and patterns that can really lead to our own undoing, but also we work on some things behind the scenes. So, what have you been trying to work on? Have you even just been trying to relax, like find a time to rest and relax? And it's like, I just can't seem to bring this into reality, but at this particular full moon, you see what you need to end, acknowledge, or adjust in order for this to kind of emerge and become a thing that you can have in your life and be in alignment with. And if you need rest, I think that you're going to be able to see over this next handful of months even how to have that consistently in your life and in your world, because it comes into the material reality. Now, on the 22nd, we've got the sun moving into Leo, bringing light, heat, life, and vitality. So now the 7th house is just lit. You are doing relationships, okay? And when we get to the 25th, Mercury moves into the vibration of Virgo. And as Mercury moves into this Virgo vibration, the one thing I want to tell you is that Mercury is a quick moving planet, and it's only going to get to 4 degrees of Virgo before it actually starts this retrograde. So I think more of what has come in for you this month, you can plan on continuing to negotiate, and you're going to look at this in August. But also what comes in here with Mercury moving to Virgo may help you trim the fat and have a bit more discernment on decisions that maybe you need to make about different things in relationships that you will review when we get to August. All right, my beautiful Aquarian friends, I hope you have a gorgeous month. I love you, and I'll see you next month. Hello, my beautiful Pisces friends, and welcome to your horoscope of July of 2024, where Pisces, I like this month for you. I mean, there's a lot going on in your pleasure zone. That's never a bad thing. I mean, it can be a bad thing, but I think this is actually a very good month. And it's the kind of month where, I was thinking about the fact that Neptune, one of your ruling planets, is going to be stepping into retrograde on the 2nd of the month, right as we're coming into the month, and it's in your sign. So there's just this like review, where you're looking at what are the ideals of me and my life and what I want for myself and how I want to connect with people. And am I really in alignment with that, right? Like really, truly, what has needed to end, what will continue to end for me in order for me to transition into being in the concrete reality, which is the Neptune retrograde, in alignment with the ideals that I have for myself. So there's this kind of precious energy as we're starting there. And then we see that we've got this Cancerian energy that is we're coming into the month with it. And it's a fellow water energy. So there's just a lot of pleasure and opportunity to begin something new that is on your table. I really genuinely love and enjoy the energy for you. So, you'll have to let me know how it goes and how these things are playing out for you. Now, we've also got some energy happening on the 2nd where Mercury is moving into the vibration of Leo, okay? So as Mercury leads into this Leo space, one of the things that is going to happen is that your 6th house becomes really powerful for the month, okay? So the Leo vibration has got you paying attention to your health, to your wellness, doing those checkups. I think that health in terms of the general actually looks good, but this is more about making sure that your routine tests are definitely getting done, definitely anything that has to do with, of, and around your heart, but also in your daily routine. Do you feel like you have something big and pleasurable and loving that is happening in terms of your daily routine? So this is going to be a big question, I think, to answer for you this month. Now, on another footing, if you have been looking for a job, if you are a freelancer, you're looking for clients, you're an employer, you want to hire some employees, whatever that looks like. Mercury leading the charge into the Leo space, I think makes this really, really a good opportunity to either hire someone, and sometimes we have to fire someone, right? So whatever decisions need to be made around that zone, I think that you're going to be able to do that in a way that feels a lot more strong. Now, we've also got this cool new moon happening in that Cancerian vibration right at the beginning of the month. And Pisces, if you have not watched my video on the Tale of 3 Moons, where I covered the 2 Capricorn full moons and the Cancer new moon that is happening right here, wedged in between those, and the full story of how that's unfolding, I would really encourage you to pop over to the playlist and check it out because I go in depth there, okay? But we've got this new moon happening at 14 degrees of Cancer. And in that fellow water energy, there's a big connection to home, family, real estate, property, but also it's about your passion, your pleasure, your creativity. There's a fair amount of fertility and things having to also do with children that is on the table. So it could be also a time where there's been something really emotionally charged around home, and it's also including something having to do with the children, or things are finally starting to settle down and you're like, I'm really passionate about this. I really want to play. I do love this particular month for romance, if this is something that you wanted to have in your life. So be paying attention to where those markers are showing up for you as well. When we continue on through the month and we get to the 11th, we now see Venus popping into this vibration of Leo. And Venus is an attracting energy. It's only attracting. We're just pulling into us, pulling into us, pulling into us. So here, in the Leo vibration, Venus has an opportunity to make grand attractions, like really align with your heart and pull something towards you. But it really has to be in a daily way, in a daily routine. What are you attracting to you that allows your day to feel harmonized, to feel like you can harmonize with others, to feel like, that heart chakra, your heart point is really lit up in what it is that you are doing in your everyday being. If you need a different health practitioner, if you need a rest, if whatever you need, Venus is going to start calling what you need to you. Just make sure you ask, okay? On the 15th, though, we do have a bump in the street. We have got Mars and Uranus coming together in the vibration of Taurus, and this lights up your 3rd house space, so all about communication. Now, I love to give Mars and Uranus the benefit of the doubt that maybe this is you just breaking out. You're like, this is it. I'm finally going to take that course. I'm going to finally, launch that course. I'm going to give it my all and just do something different. I'm going to finally have this conversation with my family or my parents or my siblings. A lot of communication and learning information. I'm going to finish that book. I love that, and I want to give these two the benefit of that. But typically, what Mars and Uranus do when they come together is they are happy to go to war. They are warring energies. And so what can happen is something really surprising, a surprising piece of information presents itself to you, and you're like, whoa. And what I can tell you is don't lose your mind. Don't say something, don't take an action that you're going to regret down the road, because it's not something that you're going to regret for 2 or 3 weeks. It's going to be the kind of damage that we create that lasts months, years. I don't think it's going to be karmic, but who knows? Mars is involved, so there can be a lot of heat wrapped up in that as well. So I would just say, as you're looking at the 15th, 16th, and 17th, you can never have the right reaction when electricity hits you, Uranus, but do the very best that you can and don't make the situation any worse if that's available, okay? Now, when we get to the 16th, Mercury is going to move into this pre-retrograde shadow time in Leo at 21 degrees. So really, from this point of the month moving forward, what you've got is an opportunity to really be in a lot of review about your daily routine, contracts, if you're a caregiver, maybe a health plan, your diet, your wellness, your gym memberships, all of these things, your health. You get a chance to start paying attention to what's coming into your space, because you're going to review it and redo it when we get into August, okay? On the 20th, we see our energy shift again because Mars is going to move into the vibration of Gemini. Now, this is going to come into the 4th house for you: home, family, real estate, property. Your other ruling planet, Jupiter, is actually up here as well. So between this combination of both Jupiter and Mars, not together, but exclusively being in Gemini in your 4th house space, there is this sense that there's a change of direction, like your house is expanding, or you are moving in some way. You are massively redecorating, you're cleaning out something. This is the 4th house. There's plenty of emotional content attached to whatever decisions that you are making here. But the other thing that I think it does is it also brings life, vitality, and energy into your space, and it will be here all the way until September. So what's going on at home? You're feeling pretty energized. Do you want to move? Do you want to invest in real estate? Do you want to renovate? What is it? Do you want to host guests and parties and have your family over more? What is happening for you in the home zone? Mars is going to give you some action to take this area of your life in a new direction. Now, on the 21st, we've got the full moon happening at 29 degrees of Capricorn. And again, this is a part of that Tale of Three Moons video I encourage you to check out. But at 29 degrees of Capricorn, one of the things that here is something in your social zone. You've been trying to get it to bloom, and it's like it just wasn't working out. It just was not coming to be. Maybe a friendship, you're like, I'm trying to connect with this person and we seem to be missing each other. Things in your social zones, your friendships, and in organizations you're attached to. Now, however, with some things out of the way, maybe there's a very big emotional piece that is out of the way that came from that Cancerian new moon where you're like, I see I was emotionally conditioned, or I've been emotionally held back by this thing. Now it's out of the way, so I can bring this dream that I have for myself into the material plane. So you've got some energy to be able to end something, acknowledge something, and make an adjustment and pivot where you need to bring this into reality. On the 22nd, we see the sun come into into Leo. So now we've also got light, heat, life, and vitality, and a motivation to have your daily routine and your health and your wellness really be sorted. On the 25th, as we close out the month, we're going to see Mercury move into Virgo, which is home court advantage. And as we see Mercury move into Virgo, this is your key to know that you're getting ready to start in some relationship work, but you're not going to get super far into it because Mercury is only going to go to 4 degrees of Virgo. It's a very fast moving planet. before it's going to hit this retrograde and start going backwards to review as we get to August. So a little relationship talk. Maybe you're getting more serious. Maybe you met someone throughout the month with all that delicious pleasure, right? Or maybe you scouted a property or a home somewhere and you're thinking about it, but you haven't officially made the conscious chosen one-on-one decision to make it happen. That's okay. We'll review it when we get into August. Okay, my beautiful Piscean friends, I hope you have a gorgeous month. Let me know how it goes in the comment section down below. I love you, and I'll see you in the weekly, and I'll also see you in August.